What's going on YouTube? And in a few seconds, what's going on Facebook? How's everybody doing today? Hope you're having a good day. Hope you're having a good week. I have three stories I want to talk about. I'm going to briefly talk about the Bill and Melinda Gates divorce, but I'm going to be respectful at this tough time for the family. So I'm not going to say too much about that, except a funny tweet I read. Second thing I want to talk about today is, there's been a God bless hat sighting. You can see right here. Your boy Lin Wood was at an event rocking the old edition, the first edition of the God Bless hat. And I found that pretty funny and interesting. So, say what you want about his predictions. The man's got good style. Let's be honest. He looks good. Look at that. He looks good. That's a vibe. That's a Lin Wood vibe. So, and I was going through his Telegram because somebody sent me it. And then we're going to talk about the Ron DeSantis executive order. Oh, Paul Gonzalez. I think he was the one who showed me on Instagram. Thank you, Paul. So I went through his Telegram and I was like, was Lin Wood really wearing the God bless hat? And I'm going through his Telegram and he's saying he's in the White House. I don't know if I believe him. No offense to Lin Wood. I'm glad you're rocking my hat. I don't know what to believe because he claims he's in the White House and there's like pictures of him walking all over the White House and he acts like he's trying to spot Joe Biden. He's like, Joe's not here. Joey's not here. And then like at the end of his he claims he's in the White House just snooping around, like Lin Wood's just walking around the White House by himself. And then he says, oh, I'm at the White House desk with Donald Trump. And I'm like, this dude is at it. Listen, he seems like a nice guy. I've always said that, but I just don't believe him. He's telling Trump supporters that he's in the White House snooping around for Joe Biden. And he didn't find Joe Biden, but he found President Donald Trump at the desk. Like, what? If Trump's in charge from January until now, he's not doing a good job. I assume it's Joe Biden in charge because gas prices and such. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to interview him or something. But, my friend said maybe that's Lin with the olive branch. But regardless, listen, I'm not here to talk about the man's predictions. I've done that enough. I don't know that I agree about what he's talking about. However, the boy looks really good in the God bless hat. That's a Lin Wood vibe. More God bless hats. And I don't know. He's got to follow up on these claims that Trump is still in the White House. It's seriously hilarious. If you go to his Telegram, he's like snooping around and he's got all these pictures from the White House. Like it's like Where's Waldo or something. So I don't know what to think, but I'm glad he's got the hat on. Maybe he's a fan. I don't know. But God bless Lin Wood. I'm just not quite sure what you're talking about with Trump in the White House still. But to each their own, I guess. I want to talk about the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, or Bill and Melinda Gates divorced. I don't have that much to say about it. I try to be respectful, even to people that I feel like aren't respectful to me, like Bill Gates. But this tweet by Naomi Wolf, I feel like just really encapsulates it. Naomi Wolf said, Bill and Melinda Gates said, we ask for space and privacy for our family as we begin to navigate this new life. And then she said, can our families also have space and privacy from both of you? That's really all I have to say. Naomi Wolf said it best. I'm not going to weigh in. This is not TMZ, okay? I'm not going to guess why they're divorcing. That's not what I do. But I'm just going to read that again. Dr. Naomi Wolf said, Bill and Melinda Gates said, we're asking for space and privacy for our family as we begin to navigate this new life. And she said, can our families also have space and privacy from the both of you? I have to fully agree with that. I would love some privacy from Bill Gates, but the dude just can't stop getting involved in everything. He's giving out grants to companies, giving money to vaccine. He's doing GMO mosquitoes. He's aerosoling, and sending the light back into, I don't know. He's trying to dim the sun to some extent, and block the sun or reflect it back into space. And you can't even talk about it. It's like he's literally doing that. He's literally running experiments and funding them. And then if you say that, they're like, well, fact check. Bill Gates is not reflecting the sun. He's just putting particles and it's reflecting the sun and he's just experimenting and eventually they might do it. It's like, just shut up, fact checkers. We know what he's doing. We read the articles. It's like mainstream Forbes and then you can't even talk about it. So I agree. I think we deserve some space too. Dimitri said trained jiu-jitsu yesterday for an hour with a dude who got the second jab and so far so good. That's good to hear. Thank you. So the main thing I'm going to talk about is the DeSantis thing. And to be honest, it seems like I have a jam-packed schedule, but I'm really like, I really don't have that much to say. I just have a question to ask everybody about it. But first, once again, let's just look at Lin Wood in the God Bless hat. That's a real vibe, you know. GodBlessHats.com. You can get yours at GodBlessHats.com. But yeah, I don't know what he's talking about with Trump still in the White House, but maybe I should interview him and ask him now that he's rocking my hat, which looks good on him. He should keep wearing it. Anyway, the main story I want to talk about, let's just see who we got real quick. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Phyllis. We got Joshua. We got Michael. We got 530 on YouTube, 1,800 on Facebook. Thank you to everybody supporting the video yesterday with, I believe her name is Savvy. This is Savvy. You know, it's doing very well on Instagram, Facebook, a lot of stuff. Good stuff. It looks like they gave me some privileges back on Facebook. Every other day they take and give. They gave me my premiere back, and now they're saying I'm restricted again. So I'm confused at what's happening on Facebook, but I'm just grateful to be here. And I feel like they just keep flip-flopping, but it's fine. Someone said, please look at HB 2183. Kansas just passed. I'll check it out. So I want to talk about the DeSantis. He rescinded the emergency order. So I'm just going to read about it. It says, Florida Governor DeSantis suspends all local COVID emergency orders. And this is from April, but this one is from ABC. It said, Governor DeSantis to make a decision on COVID emergency order. It says, this is beforehand, before he did it. Will Governor Ron DeSantis extend the declared state of emergency through Executive Order 20 and 52? His decision will have an impact on mask wearing in your city, county, and school district. According to the governor's office, Ron DeSantis has blah, blah, blah. And then it said, if the governor rescinds the executive order, legal experts tell us that it means it's up to Florida counties and cities to pass their own emergency orders. So I have two things to say, and I apologize for ruffling feathers. I don't like to ruffle people's feathers because I know people don't like it, but two things. One, I'm glad that Ron DeSantis is doing that. I think it's past time to rescind these emergency orders. But here's the question that nobody's asking, because everyone's just like, man, Ron DeSantis is the best governor. I think it's true. He probably is one of the best, if not the best governor. And everyone's like, this is so good. Thank you, Ron DeSantis. My question is, what took him so long to rescind the emergency order? Like when I talk about Trump and DeSantis and everyone's like, they have no part in this. It's all the liberals. It's all California. Like, duh. Yeah, it's Gavin Newsom. Yes, it's Phil Murphy. It's Cuomo. But it's also Trump. It's also the Republican Party. And it's also Ron DeSantis. Is it not a little bit weird to people? You could celebrate, but is it not a little bit strange that it took him until May or late April, I guess May, to rescind the emergency orders? He's been talking about for months how he thought it was overblown, and he didn't do this until now. When you have an emergency order, that's what gives all these people, local governments, state governments, they can't do any of this stuff. It's all unconstitutional. You can't close down churches. You can't force people to wear cloths on their face in a sane moral society. You can't do a lot of what they're doing unless there's an emergency. And who declared the emergency? Ron DeSantis in Florida and Donald Trump for the whole country back in March. And this is what I know people don't want to talk about. Someone said, gotta play chess, dude. I mean, if chess to you, I'm going to try to be calm today because I don't want to ruffle feathers. If chess to you is doing all these $1 trillion inflation bills before Biden, like that's not, who's that chess for? Bill and Melinda Gates are playing chess. Chess to you is turning into Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It's not just Biden destroying the economy. It was the GOP, Trump, Tim Scott. They brag about passing printing trillions of dollars in March after they declared an emergency order. So, I mean, once people realize the Republican Party is not fiscally conservative at all anymore, they're further left than Clinton, Bush, and Obama combined. And I know that like shocks people. Like, I thought it was just Joe Biden. Like, because maybe you just follow people who don't ever take accountability for their own party. But yeah, I guess is it chess to do what they did? You think that's chess? Oh, I mean, the only way to play chess is to declare an emergency order. Let liberals have authoritarian power for a year, destroy major cities, take over Dallas, take over Austin, take over California, this close to taking over Texas, allow them to do crazy stuff in Orlando and other. That's chess to you? I don't know if that's, I think chess would be not declaring an emergency. So these people don't have these authoritarian powers to rule over you. But I guess if that's what you want, just, keep pretending like that's chess. But the point I'm getting to is I don't want to harp on it too much. this should be like an eye opener to certain people that, the Republican Party, there's a reason I say they lose in slow motion wearing a cowboy hat. They should put on a God bless hat. But, it's a joke. I think it's funny. It's like the Democratic Party is losing quickly. You lose ground, you lose tax money, gas price, lumber, everything goes up. The Republican Party, they're not really winning. They're losing in slow motion wearing a cowboy hat. 4 years of Trump ended in a further left government than Obama, Bush, and Clinton. I would prefer 2012 Obama over 2020, Trump. And I don't even like Obama, but I remember life then. Did he do Obamacare? Yeah, Obamacare sucks. I understand why it's a scam. I was broke at the time and I had to pay money and get penalties. And I realized what a scam Obamacare was. That was better than shutting the entire country down in March, a 50-state lockdown. People say South Dakota didn't in some cases, but even Florida did. Trillions of dollars of printing. You guys don't care. I'm not trying to be annoying to people, but I thought that's what people pretend to do on the right wing. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to go join Dave Smith in the Libertarian Party or something, because I was under the assumption that conservatives cared about small government. Isn't that what everyone claims? From the further right to the moderate right to the Caitlyn Jenner right, the only thing that right-wingers seem to agree on, there's one thing. From Nick Fuentes to Charlie Kirk to Caitlyn Jenner to Brad Parscale to Trump to, Ted Cruz, whatever. There's one thing that all conservatives pretend to agree on. Government needs to be smaller. It's too high. Taxes are too high. The government's overreaching too much in blue areas. That's the one thing all conservatives seem to agree on. And then your favorite guy ends up going further left than Obama, Clinton, and Bush. And people freak out when I say that. So with the DeSantis thing, it's is he the best governor? I think he is. But what does it mean to be the best governor if the best governor of, a red state is further left and, in my opinion, more authoritarian than even 4 years ago in a blue state? You're losing the game and you don't even realize it. So is Ron DeSantis doing a good job? Yeah, but why did he have, and this is not me being sarcastic, someone should ask him, why did you leave the emergency order in place for over a year? And it's the same thing with Trump. Trump established the emergency order. I know it's hard to read these long bills and stuff, but none of this is possible if Trump doesn't sign the emergency order. None of this is possible if Trump doesn't do the CARES Act. None of this is possible if Trump doesn't do Operation Warp Speed. You think they'd be able to do mandatory vaccinations if Trump didn't do Operation Warp Speed? No, he's in on it. He was in on it every step of the way. Is he as bad as Gavin Newsom? No, I don't think he is. Is he as bad as Joe Biden? I don't think he is. But what does it mean to be not as bad as Joe Biden if not as bad as Joe Biden means further left than Obama, Clinton, and Bush, except acting patriotic while they're doing the least patriotic things? And people need to figure out that this game is being played, because then it's over. The game is over once people realize they're doing it. But if it's oh, I hate Trump, so I'm going to vote for Joe Biden, it's yeah, that's not going to work out. Joe Biden's probably the worst president I've ever seen ever. Well, I'm not. What are you, a liberal? I'm voting for Trump. Well, yeah, okay, that's part of it, but do you not realize that they're going in the same direction? So that's my question to DeSantis is why did you leave it in there so long? But the more I look at this stuff, the more I realize no one's really in on my side. And regardless of what I think of DeSantis, he's pushing mass vaccination. He's telling everyone to get vaccinated. Okay, I don't have a problem with that if you explain to people what they're doing. There's a mainstream article right now. I'm going to look at it so I don't get in trouble. It's mainstream. I believe it's Forbes. Let me see. Yeah, no, Fortune. Fortune is talking about, people who have been injured from this one, and they're looking for government. One of them, I'm just going to read it. This is Fortune. By the way, Facebook, not Anomaly, not Alex Jones, not Lin Wood. This is Fortune.com, brand new article. It says high school senior Emma Berkey received the one-and-done Johnson & Johnson coronavirus V on March 20th, and within 2 weeks was induced in a coma following seizures and clotting in her brain. Her medical bill is over $500,000. This is not me making this up. This is Fortune. DeSantis told her to get the vaccine. Trump told her to get the vaccine. Pfizer told her to get the vaccine. Moderna told her to get the vaccine. Gavin Newsom, every politician under the sun. There's not a single Republican or Democrat that I've seen in office that isn't pushing this vaccine. All I say is, if you're going to do it, I don't have a problem with that if you tell people what it is and who has liability. Because if I sign up for a car, I go over that with the dealership. I have liability for 3 years. Oh, you're leasing? You have liability for 3 years. If this happens, we take care of it. If this happens, you take care of it. If you need an oil change, you pay for it. If the engine fails, we pay for it. Most products, most companies, most drugs, most food, you understand how it works with the liability and the FDA approval. DeSantis isn't explaining this. Trump isn't explaining this. And they're pushing mass vaccinations. All I ask is tell people this vaccine is not yet FDA approved. It's not. It's emergency use authorized by the FDA, which is different from FDA approval, because FDA approval, there's a certain threshold that it needs to reach. And clearly it has not reached it yet, or else they would FDA approve it. They want to approve it more than I want them to approve it. So why didn't they do it? Because they can't yet, because they didn't finish the studies that, they have made the standard of FDA approval, whatever that is. They never told you that. DeSantis never told you that. Trump never told you that. They just brag about getting people mass vaccinated. Okay. Have they told you about who has liability for it? No, because they don't care. So how am I going to worship these politicians like idols when I see that them being better than the left is really like them being a worse version of a Democrat 15 years ago? I would rather, minus the weird stuff out of office, Bill Clinton, and I'm not saying he's a great guy. I'm just saying he was further right wing than Trump and DeSantis, because passing an emergency order, forcing mass vaccination, and locking down the country for a week, a month, 2 months, that's not conservative. That's not Republican. That's like authoritarian Black Mirror horror episode of like an out of control technocracy government. So what does it mean to be conservative if that's how bad you are? And I'm just asking. They've never mentioned to people the vaccine manufacturers have no liability. So if you read the Fortune, article, they explain, and I've told people under the NCVIA, but more recently, this one's under the PrEP Act, the PrEP. Pfizer has no liability. Moderna has no liability. The FDA doesn't have liability. DeSantis doesn't have liability. Trump doesn't have liability. Newsom doesn't have. You have liability. So if something happens, if there's an adverse effect, they know it happens. That's why they've given themselves an indemnification fund, which means compensation for harm or loss. They have like a little crappy fund for people who get hurt, but it's not even easy to access those funds. So people who did get hurt, who have $500,000, medical fees, who told them to get it? Was it DeSantis? Was it Trump? Were they Republican? Were they Democrat? Was it Fauci? Who knows? But all these people telling you that have zero liability for it. And I find it disgusting. I don't find it this virtuous thing. It's like Jesus Christ and Trump and Jesus Christ around DeSantis. It's like Jesus Christ and politicians are so low to me. The best politician is like not that good, because they're not telling people this. And that's what it's called to be responsible. I'm responsible with my platform. They're going to act like I'm not. They wrote an NPR article about me. They wrote an Atlantic article about me. Chelsea Clinton tweeted about me. Other doctors tweeted about me. There was NPR, Atlantic. I think there was a Mashable article. I'm not the, irresponsible one. I have a big platform. I've never told people to get the vaccine, and I've never told people not to get the vaccine, but I've told people about the approval. I've given people the FDA fact sheet, and I've given people a CNBC article where they can research who has liability, because that's important. That's what a car dealership would do. That's what I'm doing. And I'm not even telling, I'm the responsible one. DeSantis is irresponsible. Trump is irresponsible. Fauci's irresponsible. Jen Psaki's irresponsible. Mashable's irresponsible. And NPR's irresponsible. They're acting like it's a Charlie's Golden Ticket from Willy Wonka. Like, you get this thing, you eat a free donut, you drink a beer. Isn't that a little bit crazy? When I get, and I'm not going to pretend like I know what this, but I do know with a lot of medications, you're not supposed to drink alcohol. Duh. You're not, like, if you just take Advil and do all this stuff, you're not supposed to just guzzle beer afterwards. You can have bad effects from that. So if you're injecting yourself with synthetic mRNA, or you're injecting yourself with a 1-dose Johnson & Johnson, is it a smart idea to rush to a beer joint and get a beer? Because that's what Governor Murphy from New Jersey is doing. He says, we're going to give everybody over 21 a free drink of beer if you get the vaccine. Is it even FDA approved to know if that's a smart idea or not? I would guess it's not a smart idea. I don't drink that much beer anyway, because it's not super, super healthy. But in general, I'll have a beer. I'm not a robot. However, after I got a vaccine or after I took medication, I would not drink a beer, and that's nothing against the shot. I'm just saying that sounds like a stupid idea. And that's irresponsible. Governor, they don't give a crap about you. And if you do get hurt for whatever reason, they don't have any liability. So who's the irresponsible one? But the point I'm getting to is, what does it mean to be the best if Trump and DeSantis won't tell you that, and they act like they're fighting for you, and it takes them a whole year to rescind the emergency order? And the emergency order that Trump put in place and that DeSantis put in place is what allows, for the most part, one of the many reasons, is what allows liberals and corporations to have authoritarian immunity to treat you like an animal and a slave, because most of the stuff they're doing is not constitutional. You can't just shut down a business. But if there's an emergency that Trump put in place, I guess you can, So what took them so long? If enough conservatives realize this, I think that we would be free a lot quicker. But, whether people want to hear it or not, I'm just going to repeat it again. And I'm not going to say it's his fault. It's just what happened. We had a Republican Senate, we had a Republican House, and we had a Republican presidency. They did nothing about big tech. We had a Republican Senate and a Republican presidency. Trump passed speech laws and executive orders to make it harder to protest Israel on college campuses. And now Israel's rolling out the vaccine passport. And all these countries that they struck peace deals with, Bahrain and Israel, now they're linking for a vaccine passport together. Isn't that interesting? Kushner and Trump should be really proud, because now, Israelis and Bahrainians can safely vaccine digital passport each other into hell. Thank you so much for that peace deal, which turns out to be more of a digital control bill than anything, but I'm glad they're not killing each other. That's always nice. But, in general, they didn't fight big tech. And I said that in 2018. I want them to, but they never did. And they have no incentive to do it because everybody just worships them like Jesus Christ. Trump is my idol. DeSantis is my idol. They have no motivation to go harder than they are. And then 2020 rolls around. None of this is possible without the emergency order. And whether it's his fault or not, the country ended up further left wing than Bush, Obama, and Clinton. We've never had $1 trillion bills printing. That's like an AOC wet dream. I was against that. Andrew Yang, universal basic income, I was against that. Trump did that. Trump put in what is it when you get $600 but you can't go to work? They implemented Andrew Yang and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's policies, and it's not random. This is all so obvious, I give them a few weeks, but a year? It took Ron DeSantis a year to reverse the order. These are things people have to think about. And before I move on, every time I say this, people say, what's the solution? What's the solution? On a personal level, I can't tell you the solution. Enjoy yourself. Have a good life. Do what you feel called to do. Be a good person. Reach for the stars. Do you. That's the solution. It doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what Trump, DeSantis, Newsom. Doesn't matter what anyone says. It's not up to the politicians. Do you. No one can stop you becoming great. On a political level, we can't be the party of, idol worship. It's like, I like DeSantis. I appreciate him. I think that he's setting the model of what it means to be a conservative by going harder against corporations, by going harder against the vaccine passport. I am very, very grateful for Ron DeSantis. I'm so glad I'm not Canada. No offense. I'm so glad I'm not UK. No offense. I'm glad to be in America. I'm glad we have Florida. Thank God Ron DeSantis won. Without Ron DeSantis, I don't think our country would be this open. He almost lost. I mean, Florida's always like 50-50. He was this close to losing. Imagine if Ron DeSantis lost. Thank you, God, for giving us him, because he's helping. On that note, I do still find it very strange that he's pushing mass vaccination without explaining to people the liability, the non-FDA approval, and the fact that synthetic mRNA is, different technology than other vaccines, and the J&J that they temporarily halted is the fastest rushed mRNA vaccine to market ever. This is not normal. The Limerix vaccine, you could look it up. It was FDA approved for multiple years, and then it was taken off the market. They cite short sales or bad sales, but also if you look into it, there was a lot of skepticism about side effects, and it ruined the brand, and they took it off the market. So even things that were FDA approved have been taken off the market. And usually it takes 2, 3, I think 4 is the earliest, 4 years, sometimes decades. It's not like, oh, cancer. Oh, we have a cure for cancer. Oh, here it is. It's out on the market. That's not how things work. And this one doesn't work that way either. No matter how much DeSantis or Trump or Newsom or Fauci lies about it. That's not how cures work. And there's a reason this one is emergency use authorized. When Trump signed in the right to try bill or whatever it was, he was giving somebody on their deathbed the right to try. I think it's a great thing. If you're on your deathbed, you have the right to try, experimental drugs because, I think that's your right as a human. Trump was a good guy for that bill. This is essentially what this is under. It's like, it's not approved, but you have the right to try it. But people don't know that's what it is. And if you say that, the whole world closes down on you because Facebook, Google, YouTube, Bill and Melinda Gates, Fox, I mean, they're all, working with the pharmacy industry one way or another. They're either giving out grants, the Facebook, the Zuckerberg Chan, they have all these sort of partnerships with vaccine. It's all like one big club and you're not in it. So they act like it's so crazy to say what I'm saying. They delete, they censor, they say vaccine hesitancy is this crazy conspiracy theory that needs to be destroyed. But it's not a theory. It's like, I don't know how else to put it besides, I'm not anti-juice, but I don't drink every juice all the time. And if the government's trying to give me a juice that hasn't been FDA approved yet, but it's emergency use authorized, and they're giving me free donuts and free beer, just drink the juice, I wouldn't drink it either because they're creeping me out. And it's like, I don't want to be forced anything. I like to do like water fast and something. Like maybe I want to take a week and it's not even that I don't want to do a pill or take a vaccine. I don't even want to eat food sometimes. Like I'll fast for like 24 hours, 48 hours. I might do a whole week fast. That's my choice, is my body. If someone wants to get morbidly obese on McDonald's, that's their choice. If someone wants to get stronger than me and be Bruce Jenner, and run races, that's on them. It's not the government and corporations and Facebook's right to tell you that you have to take a product or else you're going to be treated like a second-class citizen, because they also don't know who has, a bad reaction to it. But they do know that. They just don't tell you. They know that, and they protect themselves from liability because they know it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. Some people are going to have weak immune systems. Some people are going to have bad responses. Some people might have, a reaction based on their genetics or some sort of disorder that they have. It's probably rare. I'm not saying it's super common, but at a certain point, when you give it out to billions of people, it's going to affect hundreds of thousands of people. And they know that. And Bill Gates has said that on television. It's like, I don't think these things because I make them up. I read, I research, and then I listen to the experts, and they'll tell you one way or another, yeah, we need compensation funds because, if we give this to billions of people, there are going to be people with adverse reactions, and we don't want to be liable for them, and we have to have compensation for them. This is all real. So you get what I'm saying? Long story short, Bill and Melinda Gates divorce. I wish them luck. Pray for them. They've helped us so much. They're just angels of humanity. I mean, let's just say what Bill Gates is doing real quick and just say thank you. Thank you so much for GMO mosquitoes. I appreciate that. I'm sure that could never backfire. Just like Fauci doing gain of function research in Wuhan, China. I'm sure that didn't backfire. Thank you for the GMO mosquitoes. And if you want to know the technology, you can read up on it. It's like they're making GMO mosquitoes to mate with other mosquitoes so they can't have kids. I'm gonna repeat that again. They're GMOing mosquitoes so they can't have kids, which is interesting because the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation also specializes in reproductive health, where they go over to Africa and they educate African women to not have children. Fascinating. Thank you so much for that. We need the reproductive health and all this great GMO mosquito stuff. He's spraying some sort of aerosols in the sky to reflect the sun, but you're not allowed to say that he's doing it or else they'll fact check you, even though there's mainstream Forbes articles bragging about it, because that's literally what he's doing with Harvard, with funding and such. He's in on every single vaccine company, and he's just like funding things like The Guardian and all these news sources. And, he's doing that because he really cares. So once you get a lot of money from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, it's like you're not going to question them because they're funding you. But, I'm sure that doesn't affect them at all. I'm sure they just keep their really normal journalism and tell the truth about everything. He also gave a lot of money to the IHME school, the University of Washington Metrics and Evaluation School, or whatever it's called. He gave over $200 million to them. So when Trump's looking at these charts by Imperial College and by the University of Washington, IHME school, and Trump looks at it and he says, oh my goodness, this is going to get so bad. We have to close down, past Easter. Every chart he was looking at was funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And without their, statistics, I don't know what we would do. I'm also grateful for, I wish them both a lot of love and peace and healing, because without them, I wouldn't, and this is real, it's not even sarcastic, I wouldn't know about how to lie with statistics, the book in which tells you exactly how to lie with statistics. It's got a quote from Bill Gates on the top. I'm going to read it. It says, "A great introduction to the use of statistics and a great refresher for anyone who's already well versed in it." So he admits, he says, this is a great introduction to the use of statistics. This is how you use statistics. But the book is called How to Lie with Statistics. And the entire book, I'm talking about the entire book, is about how to lie with statistics, not how to tell the truth, how to lie with them. And Bill Gates wrote on the front, or they quoted him on the front, "This is a great introduction to how to use statistics." So you use statistics by lying with statistics, says, the man himself. Thank you so much, because without this book, I wouldn't know all the different ways that companies, governments, and advertisers lie with statistics. It's pretty straightforward. The best book I've read all year. So, he's contributed so much to our world. You have to just respect them at this tough time and pray for peace and healing, because if there's two people who deserve peace and love and appreciation for all they've done, it's Bill and Melinda Gates. Second thing I want to say before we leave is, thank you to Lin Wood for wearing the God Bless hat. You look fantastic. I know we disagree on a lot. To be quite frank, I don't really believe anything you're saying about Trump being in the White House. I'm not quite sure. I don't even believe that you were there looking around. It is interesting that you have pictures. I'm not sure why you would do that, but if there's one thing that we do agree on, it's fashion. You look fantastic. All white's a good look for you. The God Bless hat suits you like a charm. And, keep it up. You might win I'm not going to call another man sexy, but, they do this other thing like sexiest man of the year or something, like mostly because of your fashion sense, and I don't do that to other guys. I'm just saying, like, it's hard to see that hat on his head and be like, this guy could win some awards for his fashion sense. He might even win an Oscar. So congrats on having good taste in hats. Third thing I want to talk about is Governor Ron DeSantis. He lifted his emergency order over the state, which is awesome, but also a little weird to think, why did it take so long to do that when a lot of this tyranny is off of the emergency order? Just like the mass testing situation is a huge part of the equation. How are they testing? How much are they testing? What tests are they using? How many cycles are there? What did the Nobel Prize winning inventor of the PCR test say about how to use this test? These are pretty important things when the entire pandemic and lockdowns and destruction of American freedom has to do with the testing and who's testing positive and the rates. So the fact that no politician has ever pretty much talked about it at all they do is pass orders and bills and sign $1 trillion inflation loans that are going to screw your kids over for generations, bipartisan. It passed without any problem in the Republican Party, and they've said virtually nothing about it. I know it's hard for people to realize because Trump and DeSantis seem so cool, and I will say I am grateful for them in different ways. I don't think they're going to save you until you realize what they're doing. It's this two-party game where they play good cop, bad cop, and the good cop is much better than Canada, but if they really cared, they'd get to the bottom of the mass testing scheme, but they're not. They're funding it. It's not just Biden. I know it hurts people's feelings, but Trump, Tim Scott, all of these people, they signed off on the most expensive at the time bill in modern history, and they didn't even go to work to do it. They did it remotely, and Thomas Massey was like furious because he was like, how are you going to sign one of the biggest bills? And one of the parts that he said about that is, real quick, and then I'm done. Usually when you vote in Congress, like they always do all the time, you have a record of who voted what. It's U.S. record. Who voted for what? Every vote that they went. This bill, they were trying to vote in the dark. So you have literally the most costly, most expensive, most inflation bill in modern history or all history, and you don't even know who voted on it because they're trying to do it in the dark. And the only one who said it was Thomas Massey, not Tim Scott, not Trump. These people don't care, guys. I know you think they do or something, but once the Republican Party and the conservative base says, thank you, I appreciate you, I'm grateful. However, we're not going to be your doormat. We're not going to cheer you on like an idol. We're going to ask the tough questions and challenge you. That's when the conservative party will win. I believe in you guys. I believe in us. And, I think it's time to stop worshiping politicians because as great as they're doing, there's a lot that they're not doing, and I don't think it's coincidental. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to read Native Mindset. Dude, I feel like people that already got the blank are consciously off. They literally can't see how government could sell people out. Yeah, I don't know if it's about the shot though. People have not understood the government situation for decades. So I'm not going to blame the shot for that, but I hear what you're saying, but I think it's a separate issue, honestly. Top Scott, Chris Campbell said, love you, bro. Keep up the fight. Thank you. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Eve. Kamal said, the real pandemic is lack of critical thinking. I appreciate your objective delivery and analysis. Great job, young man. Thank you. You're making me feel young. I guess objectively, or depending who you are. Not the same turf. Votes will be taken on Thursday across the pond. I just wonder what you think of the Conservative Party versus Labour Party in the UK. I haven't studied it enough recently, but Boris Johnson's a joke. I like him, Rob Ford, even Trump. They sold us this idea that they were going to stand up against the big New World Order or whatever, and then they ended up all just caving to it. So I don't know much about the Conservative Party, but Boris Johnson's a flop. Rob Ford ended up being a flop, or Doug Ford, whichever one is still alive. And, Trump ended up being a flop. But Phyllis said, you're the voice of reason. Thank you for sharing and not letting anyone off the hook. Yeah, I don't want to get on it too much, but if it was a small issue, I'm not going to nitpick certain things, but it's like when the leader that's supposed to keep government smaller makes it bigger than Obama, Bush, and Clinton, it's a big deal. And I do want to say this. I'm sorry for filibustering, but whatever. It's my stream. I can do it. Everybody thought Space Force was so cool. I never thought Space Force was cool because I researched space a lot, and there's a lot of, if you think the CDC is fake, wait till you learn about this stuff. But anyway, Space Force is creating a new government agency. It's like, oh yeah, they're going to fight battles in space for you. Like that was never going to happen. I know it sounds cool because Trump branded it Space Force. I'm going to fight China in space or something. Like, I don't think that was ever going to happen. And that was never a popular opinion. But listen, I'm not anti-government. I'm not anti-military. I love the military. I love good police officers. I'm sure there's some great agents in the CIA, NSA, FBI that work really hard for America. But at the same time, it seems like the FBI is spending more time trying to target MAGA moms and conservatives as terrorists. So you already have these three agencies that have so much time that they're supposed to be looking at foreign threats, and now they're making up or exaggerating domestic threats and making them 1,000 times big. So the last thing, in my opinion, you need is another government agency when you already have 5. And, people have been complaining about their overreach for decades. Trump creates a brand new one. Everyone cheers about it and gets a bunch of Space Force clothing. And now look who runs it. Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris runs Space Force. What's she going to do with that? You think she's going to fight Russia and China in space? They're not fighting anybody in space. I mean, it's good to have a good military, but they just Trump created another government agency. He locked the country down. He printed all these $1 trillion bills. In no way, shape, or form did he keep government smaller. He expanded government more than any president in modern history, and then left and said, I rushed it through the FDA, not Fauci. Let's pardon a few, foreign spies and just Democrat criminals, leave all of my supporters who I just helped get set up at the Capitol, leave them all out to dry. And, I'll pardon Kodak Black and Lil Wayne. It's like, I don't know. It's hard for people to say, but yeah, I don't know. I think Space Force and Operation Warp Speed were just branding terrible things and making them seem amazing. Like, ooh, Operation Warp Speed. We're going to rush these vaccines at Operation Warp Speed. It's like, what? Would that make sense to you in any other facet of life? Like, if they take a long time to build a car, it's probably because they're doing it properly. It's like, let's rush it even faster. Like, let's rush it faster if we can make sure that we have all the right measures. Like, let's not rush medicine. I feel like that's pretty dumb. But if you give it a Space Force name, people are like, oh. I'm sure I don't know what my man Lin Wood said about it, but I'm sure he's got some theory about it. He's probably he's got the guy, but he's probably like Trump. He's got a secret plan. I don't know that I agree with that, but listen, you can't deny he looks better than me in the hat. I don't like to be like, oh, that person looks cooler than me, because I like to look cool as well. But I think Lin Wood looks cooler in the hat. He looks like everybody's dad or grandpa just trying to have a good time, save America by telling people on Telegram that Trump's still in office. I don't know. Maybe it'll work. It's not for me, but I do like the hat. When would you ever trust government? I mean, I'm not like this paranoid person. I'm not running around crying and screaming. I don't dislike the government. I don't hate people who work for the government. I know people who work for the government. There's a lot of great people. I mean, The government employs millions of people. Everyone probably has a family member that in some way, is affiliated to something, even if it's like police force or local, whatever. It's just they're too big. They're like overriding. We're supposed to have sovereignty. I mean, in certain states, you can't even move your mailbox 2 feet. You can't move your mailbox 2 feet without talking to the government. You can't collect rainwater and like, feed your family with like, or drink your family. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Quench the thirst of your family. Like, government's too big. They're too out of control. And every president, they play good cop, bad cop, and they slide us down, Even Trump, it's like good cop, bad cop. He goes further left, and then he just passes the torch to Biden. And now Biden's bad cop to some. To me, he's bad cop. To the left, he's good cop. There's people crying over Joe Biden speeches because they hate Donald Trump so much. Like, I don't like Joe Biden. I find him, as far as like a speaker, I think he's probably like the worst speaker we've had. Clinton, Bush, Obama. I mean, he's worse than all of them by far. And there's people just tearing because they hate Trump so much. They're like, oh my gosh, Joe Biden's saving us from the pandemic. Oh my God. And I'm just like, what? How do you get to that point? But they hate Trump so much. They're watching television every day. And it's like, orange man bad, orange man bad. Trump is a Nazi. Stephen Miller is a Nazi. It's like, Stephen Miller's Jewish. They call him like a white nationalist. I'm like, he's a Jewish person who doesn't hate America. Like, that's the crime of Stephen Miller. He's a bald white Jew who I think he actually likes America, and they hate him so much. They're like, Jared Kushner, oh my God, Ivanka Trump. It's like, they just hate everyone involved with Trump, and they don't even make sense about it. I'm not like the biggest fan of certain people in the Trump administration, but they're buying into this movie where like the villain is like Stephen Miller. It's like, leave that dude alone. Like, Stephen Miller, he never even said anything. He's just like, yeah, I think we need to, enforce illegal immigration. And they're like, Stephen Miller's a white national. It's like, so they're buying into this narrative. So Joe Biden gets in office. He didn't actually do anything. He just like continued doing terrible stuff. And like, people are crying. They're like, Joe Biden just saved us from the pandemic and Stephen Miller and Trump. It's like, no, he didn't. But then vice versa, Trump is the hero and the savior to the right wing, and Joe Biden's the enemy. And they're like, Joe Biden's destroying the price of lumber. Trump started all this. You know what I'm saying? Like, Trump put it down. You can't just print trillions of dollars. You can't do that. That's what Trump did. That's what they all were okay with that. That's pretty bad. Like, that's the Republican Party. So it seems like good cop, bad cop, where the Democrats, I think, are objectively way worse, but the Republicans are just like escalating into hell, where ironically, Caitlyn Jenner makes more sense than 80% of that. So that's our party now. We're the party of like Caitlyn Jenner. And she actually, I feel like I like Caitlyn Jenner more than I like 80% of Republicans. And I'm sorry if that offends people. They're like, how dare you support her? I'm not saying I'm going to vote for her. I'm just saying I trust her in a weird way more than I trust Tim Scott. I don't know why, but I don't know. That's just how I feel. I apologize. Sorry, I'm not sorry. Let's see. Someone said no, anomaly, no. You can't. If you gave me, I'm just being honest. If you gave me an option and said, anomaly, you have to vote for Tim Scott or Caitlyn Jenner, I would vote for Caitlyn Jenner. I trust her more than I trust Tim Scott. It's not my fault. That's just how I feel. Where do you get this shirt? I don't sell them anymore. I don't know if I ever sold them. This is like a prototype. Make America Debate Again. I might sell them at some point, but I just haven't. Yeah, I don't have these shirts for sale. Only the God Bless hats. Am I voting in a primary today to accept? I'm a registered Republican at the moment. I used to be a registered Democrat. I changed. And locally, I vote Republican. Nationally, they got to stop, though. Even locally, I don't just vote Republican. I'm like, maybe I'm too mean. Even my mayor, I'm like, bro, what are you doing? I'm going to get in trouble. I just moved here. And I'm like, the Republican Party's too soft for me. Like, they're like, ooh, it's yellow tier. Oh, we got to go into... Bro, it's color-coded slavery. What's yellow tier and purple tier? That's Gavin Newsom just exaggerating PCR tests and telling, my county we have to shut down because we're linked to LA County. It's like, it's BS, it's Republican. The Republican base, I think, is too nice. I think they're too nice. I think it's time to push back respectfully and peacefully. And here's all I'm going to say, and then I'm going to get to more questions. Everybody on the right is acting tough. They're tough on Pence. They're tough on Kemp. They're tough on everybody except for Trump. They act like Trump is this big baby that doesn't know anything. Oh, everything bad he did was just his advisors. He's a genius. He knows everything. He's playing five-dimensional chess. He's with Lin Wood in an underwater submarine, and they're just waiting to unveil Nikola Tesla's time machine. And when the time is right, all the pedophiles will be on Guantanamo and it'll be streamed on CNN. And then on the other hand, they're like, yeah, but also he just doesn't understand anything. Like, he doesn't know anything. Kushner just, did everything. And like Trump was just this innocent baby. It's like, is he the smartest person ever? Or does he not know how, he has no mind of his own and listens to advisors? It can't be both. I don't think he's either. I think it's somewhere in the middle, but that's like the things I hear where it's like, you guys are so hard on Pence for not overturning the election that he doesn't even have power to do. But you don't even question Operation Warp Speed, trillions of dollars of loans, elevating Fauci, passing an emergency order, not rescinding it until a year. Like, it's like it's become like a cult. And you're only hurting yourself. You're only hurting your future. You're only hurting your country. Because if you stood your ground to Trump like you stand your ground with Pence, the whole party would be forced to acknowledge what you're talking about. But it's like they baby Trump so hard. They're like, Pence is evil for the worst thing Pence did was the coronavirus task force and doing all that stuff. That was bad, way worse than what he did on January 6th. Nobody wanted to wait till January 6th for Pence to overturn the election. Everything else fell through. Sidney Powell fell through. Giuliani fell through. I'm not saying it's their fault. It's a hard battle to win. The Supreme Court fell through, 2 of which Trump put there. So it's like, are you really going to blame the whole world on Mike Pence? That shows a lot of people that are objective that I'm not saying MAGA can't be trusted because I think it's a trustworthy movement. But, a lot of people don't really like that because they see what you did to Mike Pence. Mike Pence has done a lot of messed up stuff in his political career. But overturning the election on the 6th is probably not even a top 10 thing. That's just you emotional, mad that Trump didn't get the votes, mad that he couldn't figure out how to do it, mad that the Supreme Court didn't weigh in on it, mad that, all the electorates before Pence could send them back, they already sent him in. Pennsylvania sent him in. So you're mad at Pence for not sending him back to the people. You're mad at, you blame it all on him just because you're emotional. That shows a lot of people like, I don't know if I want to even be part of this movement anymore because they'll throw you under the bus for the crime of like not being a liar. Like, what, you think Pence can overturn the election? So can Kamala? Can Kamala do the same thing? If you guys win in the midterms or you guys win in 2024, can Kamala just halt the vote, send them back, and Democrats can flip the vote? If that's the precedent you're trying to set, you just screwed yourself for the rest of time. You know what I'm saying? It's like people treat Pence like trash for something that's not even a top 10 bad thing he did. And then they treat Trump like a god that can't possibly be questioned. Like, smart, honest people are going to start not wanting to be part of your movement if that's going to be it moving forward. So it's just something to think about because even me, it's like, I don't care. I can hold my own. But Pence's biggest mistake or biggest, bad thing was the coronavirus task force where he worked with Fauci, shut the country down. Operation Warp Speed, Pence was just as complicit as Trump. But no one cares about that because they blame him for the election. It's a bad look. It's a bad vibe, but you got to hold Trump to the same standards or else you're not the party of like conserving anything. You're just the party of like worshiping a human politician, businessman, like they're the return of the Messiah. It's not healthy. And I don't say that from a place of jealousy. If I run for office, my job is not to make you laugh. It's funny, but if I'm the president, you should hold me accountable like you should hold Trump. If I pass a speech law that makes it harder to protest a foreign country on a college campus like Trump did, you should ask me why I did that. I wouldn't expect you just to bow down in the streets to me. I'm supposed to serve you. I'm supposed to protect the Constitution. I'm supposed to stop the Democrats from being tyrannical. Trump helped them be tyrannical. He helped Newsom, Murphy, and Cuomo through, his executive order in 2019 for the influenza vaccine, through the lockdown, through the emergency order, and through the CARES Act, and through Operation Warp Speed, and through all of these channels. He helped the Democrats screw everybody. You shouldn't just allow that. Even if it was me, it's not about me. It's about the country. He's supposed to serve the country. So The second that doesn't happen, the base should have been all over it. So I pray that people learn their lesson, because even with DeSantis, like the good cop, bad cop will continue until you identify it. Don't hate them. Don't say, oh, they're F them, F them. Appreciate DeSantis, appreciate Trump, but don't just be a floppy disk or, like a rug, a doormat for them to walk all over. Hold your ground as we the people and let them know that we're the party of small government, not the party of worshiping politicians who 80% of the time do it, 20% of the time send you back. It's like taking 5 steps forward and taking 100 steps back. Trump took 5 steps forward and then 20 steps back. So we ended up 15 steps behind where we were. The country was more free in 2015. The country was more free in 2014. Never have we experienced a loss of freedom like in 2020, and that still continues to this day. And we'll never get it back until people realize it wasn't Biden who implemented it. It was Trump. It's a hard pill to swallow, but if you're not going to swallow that pill, you're not going to ever win. It's that simple. All right. Read some comments. Thank you, everybody on YouTube and Facebook. And I want to say real quick before I read some comments, these are on godblesshats.com. You can go to dreamrare.com, but I also purchased the domain godblesshats.com. So if you search godblesshats.com, you get the hats. Someone said, I think he was just tricked. I don't think so. Because honestly, like, guys, it's 2021 and he has nothing to say. He still has like nothing intelligent to say. Every time he goes on TV, he uses it as an excuse to brag about it. People love Trump more than they love their freedom. So you get nothing, until you realize, like, he was tricked. Is he really, really dumb then? I don't think Trump's dumb. I think he's really smart. You think he's that dumb that he got tricked and he still doesn't know? And now he's just serving Fauci and Bill Gates and has no idea. Nobody can tell him. He knows. He had a meeting apparently with RFK, and I don't know if this is true, but maybe Del Bigtree too. And they talked about this stuff and vaccine safety in 2016. Before Trump even got to the White House. Trump knows everything I know. He knows probably more than I know. He just doesn't care. And it's a tough pill to swallow. He's not a dummy. He knows about safety. He probably has someone in his family who is affected by it. He knows. It's a tough pill to swallow. It's like easier to say he's really dumb. He has no idea. It's his advisors. No, he knows. He just doesn't care. It's hard to admit, but at a certain point, it's either admit it or just continue losing ground, losing freedom, losing concept. We lost a lot last year. We're never getting it back until people realize what happened and who was in on it. Yeah, he's not dumb. He's a super smart guy. He just doesn't care about what you want him to care about. It's not a big deal. It's like with Ben Shapiro. Do I think Ben Shapiro is a mean, horrible person? I'm not a big fan, but no, I don't know. I don't think he's dumb. Do you think Ben Shapiro's dumb? I think he's a really smart guy. So when Ben Shapiro supports mandatory vaccinations, I'm not going to make up all these theories. It's like, I just don't agree with him. Like that's how Ben Shapiro feels. I don't feel that way. I'm not going to make up, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. Oh, he didn't mean to. He got misled. Who cares? The point is Ben Shapiro is for mandatory vaccination and he's okay if your kids can't go into public areas. He's admitted that, and that's not cool. So your job as a citizen, if Ben Shapiro was the president, is not to make excuses for why he's doing it. Your job is supposed to say, we reject that completely. That's tyrannical. That's authoritarian. That takes away our bodily autonomy. And we will oppose that no matter if it's Trump, Shapiro, Rubio, or Biden. That's your job as a citizen. But people take it upon themselves to just make excuses for Trump. They think they're a full-time PR agent for Trump. Well, he's really dumb. Oh, no, he doesn't know. That's not your job as a citizen. You just lost the First Amendment. You just lost the right to go to church. You just lost the right to travel. You still can't travel unless you follow their rules. Your job is to get that back. It's not to make excuses for why he did it. You could speculate why Shapiro thinks that or why Trump did that, but the point is they're not doing the right thing. If you believe in freedom, they're not doing the right thing. Your job is to oppose that, not make excuses for it. But this is why we are where we are. More people make excuses for it. That's what, it's not just Democrats. Republicans made excuses for Trump instead of standing up against Trump. So we got socialism. So we got $1 trillion AOC bills. So we got the CARES Act. So we got Operation Warp Speed. It was always going to be used against you. Duh. You can't just rush a vaccine and give tens of billions of dollars to corrupt. Do you know all of this stuff? They're pushing all this propaganda all over the place. Trump signed off on most of that stuff. What was in the CARES Act? You got $600. There's trillions of dollars. When they say billions of dollars go to vaccine education, they're not educating people on FDA approval. They're not educating people on the ingredients. They're not educating people on every side. They're not educating people on liability. They're coaxing people into getting it and shutting down people who don't get it. Trump signed off on all of that. Trump made it harder for his supporters to exist. That's why a lot of Trump supporters get censored. Trump never helped you. He never fought big tech. He only made it more difficult with his funding, with his executive orders. It's a tough pill to swallow, but people would rather make excuses. People would rather make excuses for tyranny. So that's why you get it. I don't even feel bad for that many people. It's like, I feel bad for innocent people, but if that's the type of conservative you are, you deserve everything that's happening. You know, you can't protect your kids. You'd rather protect your idea of Trump and your worship of him. And, you know, you get what you get. It's really so simple. Everyone always asks me the solution. The solution is just stop playing. That's literally it. On a personal level, I don't play along. I don't live in that world. I refuse to. And if it got so bad in my area, I would move somewhere else, but it's not. And it's easier than people think if you just stop playing along. And if everybody stopped playing along, whether it be Trump or Biden, this would have ended last year. It's really that simple. I don't want to keep repeating myself, but it is. Can I not set up an interview with Trump, DeSantis, or any of these politicians? Have you reached out? I have 700 emails. So my thing is possibly, maybe I could get an interview with DeSantis. I'll try. I think I'm going to try to get an interview with Caitlyn Jenner. I think that would be fun. But yeah, it's possible. But, you know, I can definitely use my influence to do certain things. Maybe eventually I'll try to do interviews. I just don't do that many interviews. Miss Busy said, people sent you super chats you missed. Trump was the only personality that could drag freedom-loving people into this trap. We would have never followed the left. They knew what they were doing when they chose him. I missed that super chat, but in a way, I kind of agree. I think Trump inspired millions of people, and I'm always grateful for what Trump did. He made it cool to love America again. He made it smart to, you know, like do certain things. His cultural shift was huge. I appreciate that. That being said, I think you're totally right. Never would conservatives allow Obama to do this. Never would conservatives allow Hillary Clinton to do this. Never would conservatives allow them to shut down red states under Biden, but they did it under Trump because they trusted Trump. They put all their trust in Trump, and Trump sold them out. It's a tough pill to swallow, but I totally agree. I don't think, are you kidding me? You think Obama could have shut the country down and Texas would have followed? No, they followed Trump because they trusted Trump. And Trump extended the order past 15 days. He did all the funding, all the testing, all the ventilators, all the vaccines, but he put on an act like a clown. What's his like his new email? Guys, he's like I'm not trying to be mean, but he's like a circus clown to me now. I used to love this guy. He's a clown. He just tweets a big lie or email. The big lie is the election. Guys, there's kids being forced in mass. There's kids being forced vaccinated. You can't go to Rutgers now if you don't get the vaccine. They're trying to push that. This country is suffering constitutionally, physically, mentally, psychologically. Our country's suffering. This guy's supposed to be the leader of the entire freedom movement in the world, and he's like a dancing circus clown. As he sells you out, as he pushes you down the river, as he signs off on all this tyranny, the election, the big lie. That's all he could say. And then a week later, LeBron. That's all you could say? You don't have like an intelligent couple paragraphs for the country? He has nothing. He's a clown. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. For somebody who did so well for so long, he ended his term like the biggest big government clown ever. And it's sad. It's disappointing. It's sad. It's a tough pill to swallow, but it's like people are still cheering on this stuff. Guys, he sent billions of dollars to the vaccine industry. He sent billions of dollars to liberal corporations who hate you, maybe even trillions. I don't know how much all these companies, United Airlines is going to do 50% this. And Yeah, who bailed them out? It's Republicans and Democrats. You know, they gave them all this money, and now that they all have all this money, they use it against you on every level of government, on every level of big corporate. And what does he have to say for it? It's a big lie. He's a clown. Someone said, shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you for not standing up against Trump. Shame on you for allowing socialism to come because your worship of a politician exceeded your patriotism for your own country. This could go both ways. It's not popular, but this needs to be said because it's not being said at all, and it's the big part of the puzzle that people are missing. Let's see. Operation Warped Speed. Someone said flip-flop grifter. I don't know if you're talking about me or Trump, but listen, say what you want about me. Watch my video about Carrie Mullis and the PCR test. That video alone, if Trump broadcasted that video, the entire scheme is over. Guys, this was known by a lot of people since last April. If Trump tweeted out or if Trump emailed out my Carrie Mullis video or did his own research with the billions of dollars he has, the whole thing ends. It doesn't end because he started it, he funded it, he supported it, he sanctioned it, he bragged about it, he wants credit for it, and all he does is send out goofy clown emails every 2 weeks. I'm not grifting. That video alone, and that more importantly, that information alone ends the whole thing. There's 20 different things that could end all of this across all 50 states, and no Republicans doing it because they don't care. Earth and Press TV said, Anomaly, you're a legend. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. People, the idol worship is going to be the death of the Republican Party. It's sad. Someone said, I think Lin Wood wearing that is a little cryptic. It could be. I don't know. I like Lin Wood. I think he's a nice guy. I'm just wondering what if he can prove. I don't know. I mean, he says that Trump is in the White House. That's a huge claim. Am I supposed to not say that? I cannot. I like that he's wearing the hat. He looks fantastic. He looks fantastic. I feel like we would get along. Maybe he likes me. I always liked him. I always supported him. I always supported what he was doing for the movement. But when you're snooping around the White House and you're like, Trump is in office, it's like, if he's in office, why are all these bad things being passed? You know? I don't know. If he's in office, why are all these bad things being passed? But also, if he's in office, like, what's going on? I understand that Biden doesn't even seem like he's doing anything. I don't. But this idea that I don't know what I'm not trying to be mean. It's the same with Mike Lindell. I think Mike Lindell is such a nice person. I don't think he's a bad, mean person. But when he tells Trump supporters, I'm 100% sure that Trump's going to be there. Like, are you 100% sure? I don't know. At what point is it too much? I guess that's for people to decide. But and SQ said, yeah, I wish it wasn't the case, but yeah, some of this is because of Trump. However, he did wake a lot of people up. God bless Anomaly. I'm not trying to be mean, but to certain people, it's like we have such a big thing going on in this country. There's certain parts of the narrative that can be shattered very simply. And I feel on a level like, you know, say what you want, but even like Lin Wood and Mike Lindell, they don't agree with Operation Warp Speed. You know, morally, ethically, they don't support that. They don't want these things to be rushed. Trump did do that. I don't know what people think, but the Moderna, the Pfizer, the J&J, Trump did push those. You know, I don't know how much he really had to do with it, but he proudly funded it. He proudly signed off on it. You know, there's going to be people who take this who don't know anything. They've been forced to take. They're afraid they can't travel to Europe. They're afraid that they won't be able to go to Coachella. They're afraid that their entire childhood and college years are taken away from them because of, you know, not being able to move. So I'm thinking deeper where it's like, I'm not, you know, Trump's a big boy. DeSantis is a big boy. If I ran for government, which I don't want to do, I'm strong enough where like you can critique what I'm doing. It's not about me. If I'm running, it's about my policies. If I'm passing speech bills or socialist bills, I would hope that you call me out as well. It's not like I hate anybody. I don't hate Trump. I don't dislike any of these people. I want to love them. I want to like them like I do with everyone. But you have to hold the people accountable when that's their job. So if they're passing all this stuff that's hurting the country, my worship for Trump or DeSantis or whoever, I feel more bad for these kids and these people who are being held, like you do this or else you're not going to be able to make a living. So they do it. And they have no idea about liability. They have no idea about these companies' history. They have no idea that they take all liability. If they were educated in that way, I think people would be able to make an informed decision. So it hurts me. I'm sorry if it seems mean, but it hurts me when I see people like Trump, who's a very influential figure, and people like DeSantis and people like Governor Abbott and people like Fauci, obviously, who don't explain any of this stuff and who just say, go, 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 we brought it to you. That hurts me. That hurts me. And I feel bad because I don't like to, same with like Shapiro. I don't want to wake up and think, oh my God, I don't like Ben Shapiro. It's like he has a huge platform and he says he's okay if people were banned from public areas by not getting vaccinated. He's pro mandatory vaccination or else you can't go into society. So, my love for the people of the world supersedes my love for Ben Shapiro when that's what he's saying. And that's what I'm saying about Trump. I don't care if he pursues the election, but when you did things that hurt people and you're unapologetic about it and you don't even explain any part of it, that hurts me. It's not like I like Mike Lindell, but a lot of people are looking up with him. So if he says he's 100% sure Trump's going to be in office, it's a big deal. And same with Lin Wood. I feel like me and Lin Wood would get along. He seems like a wildly nice person. And I've always tried to say that, but he's uploading pictures of him at the White. Is he? That's a bold claim. I would love to believe that that's true. I'm just skeptical of everything. So it's not a hateful thing to be like, dude, that's a big claim to be like, I'm at the White House. Trump's here. Biden's not here. I'm just walking through the White House. I don't know if it's that easy to just walk around the White House I don't think it is at all. And I think most people think that. So it's not, I just want to repeat this because I actually feel bad. I feel bad. I don't want to disagree with anyone, but they have huge influences just like I do. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And with Trump, it hurts me just like it hurts other people. Maybe I shouldn't care, but it's like, a powerful email about the mask mandate who's still affecting millions of his supporters, people who voted for Donald Trump, millions of his supporters are being forced into masks and they don't want to be, and they're looking for help. And the emails and the message just isn't there. It's like every week it's this like pull string doll, like, no, I get it, the election, but I've heard that 7 times, just like I've heard Moderna and Pfizer. Like he's bragged about Moderna so many times where I'm like, if you have the energy to brag about Moderna in 7 different tweets and emails, I think you could put a paragraph together for the people who voted for you who are, being interrogated as terrorists now. Biden's setting us up to like everybody. Oh, we need an agency for extremists. What's extreme though? Is extreme somebody who wants to harm an innocent person? That's extreme. Is extreme somebody who, doesn't want the government to force vaccinate them? That's not extreme, but they think that's extreme. Is a conservative extreme? That's not extreme. Is someone who believes in a conspiracy theory extreme? That's not extreme, but they're using the whole Q thing as a segue to be like, everybody who does this is this, and they're all harming people because of the 6th. And it's not true. 99% of people who watch theories, they're not trying to harm anyone. But that's what they're doing to us. So that's all I'm saying is like, there's kids suffering right now. It would just be nice if the leader of the country, who we all loved and voted for, said something about it, because it's kind of like a huge, huge deal. And he kind of helped bring it here. He was in office for the beginning of it and the, pretty much implementation of it. So, I don't think, maybe I could be nicer. I don't think it's too much to ask him to do something about it, or at least be like, it's not cool to do what you're doing. He's a cool guy. I think it's okay to be like, this is not cool, and then he'll do something that's cool. Sometimes I feel like that works. When Joe Rogan had on Jack from Twitter, he was being really not cool, and he was being really like, Jack, he let Jack off the hook really easily. Joe Rogan got ratioed for the first time in his life. He got more downvotes than upvotes, and he realized what he did, and he brought him back on, and he brought on Tim Pool, and he conducted a way better interview asking the tough questions about Twitter. That's what standing up for yourself does. Even digitally, it's like people will realize if a majority of people disagree with them. And say what you want about people, but I think you look at like certain videos, and usually the up down is pretty good. Like when you see a downvoted video that's downvoted more than upvoted, usually they screwed up. Whether it's Joe Biden or even Shapiro has some that downvotes are up. He doesn't have most of his are upvoted, but when it is downvoted more than upvoted, it's usually a really bad take. So that's the power that we have. It doesn't mean you don't have to go as hard as me, but I do it to kind of rumble the hornet's nest a little bit, because if enough people stand up against whoever it is in a nice way, it could end very quickly. Like people see that and they realize, man, this is not that popular. And I think it's already happening with Trump Jr. and Ivanka when they push the Moderna. People don't like it. Majority of the base doesn't like it, and that's okay. I think I feel like I say this too often, but this is what democracy is supposed to be, is the base demand. But with Trump, it's like he gets such an easy pass, where I'm not saying to hate him, but it's like he could literally do anything and people wouldn't even realize he's doing it because of the theories. That's why my boy Lin, who looks fantastic in the hat, who I think's a really nice guy, I'm sure, it's like I don't mind loving someone, but if everybody's waiting for a moment, I hope it comes. Of course, I want great things to happen in the world, but if that ends up, same with Mike Lindell, like, is he doing great work on his own? I think he's trying his best. But if you take millions of people and instead of being like, hey, let's hold our ground here, it's like, hey, don't worry, we got this, we're coming. Then, it can strengthen the movement or it can weaken the movement. So it's worth considering. Someone said, are you talking about Biden or Trump? Well, I'm talking about Trump right now because Biden is a joke, but a lot of this stuff happens bipartisan. All of these $1 trillion bills, it wasn't just Biden. He wasn't even there. Is Biden doing a good job? No, but it's Republicans who play this game. It's Republicans who play Tim Scott, when he spoke, he said, we passed 5 bipartisan COVID bills. They passed $1 trillion printing bills. But now they want to convince you, now that Joe Biden's in office, they're getting worse. Are they getting worse? Probably. Democrats put more crap in there. But that's the game they're playing now. Tim Scott wants you to think, if a Democrat gets in, we're going to pass this bill that's, so bad and so spend worthy. But if we're in office, we're going to do the same thing, except it's going to be slightly better. That's not a game we can play. You know what I'm saying? It's not just Biden and AOC and Ilhan Omar. It was all the Republicans who passed this bill in March and April. So they convince you that it's just the left, but it's not. And people are figuring that out with Georgia and stuff. Like the deeper you go, and I'm not talking about like you have to get into these people's everything, but like, I don't know, some of these Republicans who act cool, like if you're not small government and you're going to pass, like, it's kind of I think it's kind of a big deal. Is it not? Maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe it's fine that they just, pass emergency orders and $1 trillion bills. I don't want to feel like I'm mean or hurting people's feelings, but to me, that just seems kind of crazy that they're playing this game, but no one knows that they're playing it because they follow politicians or leaders who tell them that if we get back into office, this all changes. It didn't start under Biden, and it didn't start with just Democrats. That's just what happened. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I'm going to read this real quick. And this is what I'm saying, the stance I'm taking, and then I'm going to read this comment. The stance I'm taking is a further right stance than Tim Scott and Trump. It's more libertarian. It's more fiscally conservative. And this comment says, anomalies turning into a leftist. Woke, he's saying it so his channel doesn't get shut down. Guys, Is everybody this far gone from bipartisan two-party politics? I'm taking a further right stance than Trump and Tim Scott. I think they're spending too much money. I think they're giving government too much power. I think they're convincing you they're fighting the left when they're working with the left. And the best you could say to me is Anomaly's a leftist. This just shows you the two-party deception. If you're not a right-winger, you're a left-winger. If you're not a left-winger, you're a right-winger. And then both wings come together and they pass trillion-dollar bills every year, or billion-dollar bills, in some cases trillion, where they fund all the companies, all the agencies, and all these groups who hate Republicans. This doesn't make me a leftist. This makes me a, I guess, principled person who I just see what they're doing. It's so obvious, but it's like, this is what happens when you talk to certain people. If you talk to a liberal and you say, hey, I agree with Trump, they're like, what are you, a far right? No. What if Trump just made sense and you agree with it? But same with the right wing. It's like you say one thing that approves with the group, and then they accuse me of being a liberal. Guys, I'm going further right on an economic scale. Far left is essentially communism. Government controls everything. Far right on an economic scale would be like anarchy. I mean, you could do it different ways with fascism, communism, whatever, but like anarchy means no government. You know, on a scale of communism to anarchy, I'm not an anarchist, but I'm conservative, libertarian. I think the government needs to get smaller. I'm saying Trump made the government bigger, and Tim Scott, and they don't care, or at least they don't notice, or the base doesn't know. That's all I'm saying. I'm not a liberal for going further right on an economic scale than that. That's not liberal. That's more conservative. Crypto Sack said, buy my hat. Yeah, crypto. I'll give you, I don't have to, but I'll give you, say what you disagree with me with. I'll give you the floor to speak. I don't take money from any major donors, corporations. I sell hats. These are made in the United States. I made this design myself. That's how I make money, besides Facebook, YouTube, and Patreon, which is inconsistent because Facebook, YouTube, it's not a guarantee, especially with the content that I'm doing. So yeah, that's what I do. I sell hats instead of, I don't know, take $10 million from pharmacy industries so I could pretend like I'm a patriot and then sell you down the river. So I don't have any ties. No one's stopping me from saying something. I don't take money from Sheldon Adelson like the Republican Party. So I pass speech laws for Israel and no one knows I'm doing it. That's not, you get what I'm saying? That's not what do you could say I sell hats, but I could say your favorite politicians took $100 million plus from Sheldon Adelson. But you don't even know that. You complain about George Soros on the left. There's someone very similar who passed away, rest in peace, who was funding all your favorite Republicans. So you might not realize that they're not standing up for the First Amendment, but the reason they're not doing so is because there's a lot of special interest going into the Republican Party, just like there's the Democratic Party. So what's worse, selling hats or taking hundreds of millions of dollars from the person that you said was going to put Marco Rubio and turn him into a perfect little puppet? That's what Trump tweeted. And then he ended up doing the same exact thing. But I'm sorry, what part of what I'm saying bothers you besides the fact that I'm selling hats? You can disagree. Feel free to disagree with anything I said. I don't care. It's not going to hurt my feelings. Just let me know. Just let me know what part you're mad at or what part that you disagree with what I'm saying, because I want to have a conversation. I would love to interview Trump or DeSantis and be really nice, but at the same time, they don't ever get asked tough questions from the right. It's either the left wing just going insane. The left wing is insane. When they ask DeSantis questions, it's like, they're like, how dare you open up? Yeah, no, that's the good thing that he's doing. It's like the left is mad at DeSantis and Trump for the good things that they're doing. The left doesn't ask any good questions anymore. It's like, why did you kill all these people? Like, Trump didn't kill all these people. DeSantis didn't kill all these people. Like, that's not what happened. So, it tends to be this circus where you defend them because the left wing is crazy. So you defend Trump and DeSantis because it's the right thing to do. But then actual questions are never, ever asked because we don't have a good press corps. Unfortunately, that's not what we have. I'm going to say a couple more minutes and then I got to go. I'm getting kind of tired. Someone said politicians shit on us, then expect us to thank them. And everybody does. That's the two-party system, though. I'm a registered Republican at this point, but that's the game. The left hates Trump. The right hates the left. So they both kind of understand that. And that's part of the game. The right wing panders to black, panders to Hispanic. They pander to every group under the sun, LGBT, but they never talk to white people. One, because they'd be called racist, but also they know they have the white Christian conservative vote. They know that white Christian conservatives are never going to vote for Joe Biden. Like, that's not going to happen. You know, the right wing is the home of Christians for the most part, not all, but, you know, evangelical Christian types, they vote right wing. In a weird way, the right wing knows that, so they always slide left because they feel like they have your vote on lock. You know, like, we don't really have to do that much for these people because we already have them. Let's spend billions of dollars trying to get more black votes, which I get it marketing wise, but we the people, you don't realize, like, they don't do that much for the people who vote for them the most because they know that you're going to vote for them the most. And it shows in the demographics. I mean, I don't know how accurate they are, but Trump actually gained in Hispanic. He gained in black. He lost in the white male vote, or, you know, like, he lost in that vote. I don't think it's a coincidence. You got in on all these policies that evangelicals wanted to vote for. And on your way out, you pandered to everybody else and never, I mean, he did get the wall and certain things kind of done, but certain things, I feel like people feel neglected a little bit. I don't need to be talked to racially. At the same time, I'm mostly white, part Hispanic. Trump was doing the American Dream Act for Hispanics. I was at his rally and they said, American Dream for Hispanics. The Republican Party always says the American dream is for all people. We're all dreamers. But then they pander to Hispanics and say, we have a plan for Hispanics. How does that make white people feel when they can't get any money on the American Dream Plan? I'm part Hispanic. I could get money under the American Dream Plan, but I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair that some of my family could get it and other parts of my family couldn't. You know, it's the same thing that we don't like about the left wing. So that's what happens when people just worship too hard. That's all I'm saying. And that's why I'm trying to challenge in a friendly way, you know, these other conservatives. I don't hate them. I just find that strategically we're being taken advantage of. And it's not a little thing. I never cared that much about certain things until the lockdown. The lockdown's not a small thing. It's not like Anomaly, shut up and trust the plan. Anomaly, it's not. It is a big deal. The lockdown's a huge deal. I enjoy my life. I'm appreciative. I'm glad conservative states are open. But it's like we took 5 steps forward and 20 steps backwards. I'm tired of people acting like it's such a little issue. Like, come on, dude, you're being a little hard on them. This is worse than Obama, Bush, and Clinton. I'm not putting all the blame on him, but if you don't realize that that's not acceptable, it's going to keep happening. And that's like in a relationship, if somebody's abusing you mentally, physically, and you allow it to happen, it's going to keep happening. It's the same with a political party. If you're being abused by the Democrats or the Republicans, they're going to keep abusing you. We got abused by both parties. And I'm not going to put on a hat and say, oh man, I want 4 more years of what we just had. Like, I can't do that. I would rather him than Biden, but 4 more years that went like those 4 more years, it's not going to work out until people demand more. So that's the point. I hate getting misconstrued, and I'm not, I hate trying to, certain people think I'm mean. Like, even with like Lindell, I think Mike Lindell's such a nice guy. I challenge him because I'm like, dude, he's a powerhouse. He's a huge figure in the MAGA movement, and he's got millions of people waiting for Trump coming back in August. If Trump comes back in August, I'll shut up and I'll make 5 apology videos to Lin Wood and Mike Lindell. I've heard this so many times since 2018. It's not new to me. I've debated Pragmatic, Jordan Sather. They've been pushing the Q stuff for 2018. He's coming back. He's coming back. He's coming back. He's going to do it. He's going to do it. Of course, I wanted to see bad people held accountable. Duh. But it didn't happen. We got held accountable. Nobody got interrogated. We did. So I'm not being irrational. It's like I've heard this 1,000 times since 2017, and the only thing that happened was we got locked down, we got mistreated. Of course I pray for anybody to be held accountable. I don't care whether it's like lockdown. I don't care whether it's obviously connected to the Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. That would be ideal. You think I don't want that to happen? Who doesn't? What good person on this planet doesn't want that to happen? I just haven't seen it. So I'm not going to spend my whole life waiting for it. I hope it does. That would change so much. If someone got held accountable for something in this whole lockdown scheme, that's so promising. It's like, dang, we could actually turn this thing around, but I'm not going to sit around for 3.5 years and telling everybody it's coming tomorrow, it's coming in August, it's coming in July, when we're getting played by both sides and nobody's holding their ground. Someone said Jordan Sather's coming around. Another person, I think he's a super nice guy, but a lot of these super nice people start getting super mad at me when I don't just bow down to their narrative. I've had friendly chats with Jordan, like about stuff he thinks about space. I'm not afraid of a theory. Who cares? But the second that I say, like, dude, I think it's a little bit of a psyop. Like, this is the book I have. I don't know who's who. I'm sure people are nice people, but New Lives for the Old, it shows that they use this strategy in the Bolshevik movement, that if you can control the other side by saying, hey, don't do anything about what we're doing, we have a plan. The military has a plan. This entire theory comes out of the Bolshevik Revolution. Is it purposeful? I'm not going to say it is, but it's worth considering. What pro is there to making people think that something's going to happen as we're losing everything, and instead of people standing their ground, they're waiting? It seems like an obvious ploy, whether it's meant to be or not. I don't think everyone's doing it purposely. I don't think Mike Lindell's doing it purposely. But at the same time, I think it's okay to question them. That's all I'm trying to do. And I'm trying to make it clear because, people like Jordan Sather, I make the video and he's like, anomalies controlled, anomalies this. I'm like, bro, you've been telling people since 2018 that Trump was going to arrest all the pedophiles and this is going to happen, this is going to happen. It's like, we all want it to happen, but it didn't happen, dude. Like, you're following a message board that nobody even knows who it is, who time and time again just makes good theories, bad theories. This is happening, that's happening. It's like, the jig is up, dude. I hope he is coming around, because there's a way to fight evil and do good reporting without just making your whole life revolving around somebody else's posts so you don't even know who they are. Like, you can do research, you can make a video, you can connect dots. It's like, it's getting old. It's definitely getting old. It's been getting old. Someone says there's been tons of pedo arrests. Well, for sure. I mean, there's, over the course of the last 4 years, they've arrested thousands of, lower level and in some cases higher level. They did a good job, no question. But that's not what the theory is. The theory was Biden's getting arrested, Hillary's getting arrested, all these people are going down. That was the big promise that people had. So when it doesn't happen, they just say, well, look at these. It's like, yeah, that's great. I of course, every human smuggler that gets arrested is a great day for America, but that doesn't mean a lockdown and a quarantine is a good thing for America. When all that came around, they're like, oh, but these arrests happen. Yeah, okay, but what does that have to do with us getting locked inside? That's not good. And I would guarantee you that child abuse has drastically spiked over the last year because of the lockdowns. What a easy way to abuse a child. First of all, you can't see anybody's face with a mask on. I don't even think masks should be not only mandatory, I think they shouldn't even be allowed. If you wear a mask outdoors or something and in like a crowd, that's one thing, but I don't think masks should be allowed. You can conceal your identity. You're stuck in a house. You could conceal a kid. The mask mandate is so dangerous on so many levels. So yeah, thousands of people were rescued and also millions of people were abused. So I'm not, just because that happened doesn't mean that the Q thing all played out. Like, it is what it is, but it's like, I don't know. It's good to appreciate good things, but that doesn't make me think that the lockdown is anything but what it was. Someone said, dude, you don't realize by now that Trump never had control of the DOJ. The deep state always was against him. Melissa, I'm not even talking about the Department of Justice right now. I didn't mention the Department of Justice one time in this entire thing. I don't think I've even mentioned it one time. So did him doing Operation Warp Speed, was that a product of, he has no power over the DOJ, so he has to sign this thing that gives tens of billions of dollars to the industry? His whole career, even when he couldn't do anything, I liked him because he told the truth about it. Even when he couldn't do anything about the DOJ, I didn't care. I understood how hard it was. I'm not an irrational person. Oh, change everything right now. I'm not expecting him to. but he always told the truth about it. In March of 2020, and especially after June, after that hydroxy, you know what, spout, he stopped telling the truth about anything, and he started lying, and he started becoming a vaccine salesman. That has nothing to do with the Department of Justice. But Melissa, I know you'd rather spend your whole life defending everything he's ever done instead of defending your country and your values. I love Trump, but I love the First Amendment. I love the Constitution. I love freedom. I like the free market. I actually like the free market. I just don't print out pins saying I like it and then letting it die. So if all that happens under the leader and it has very little to do with the Department of Justice, why do you spend so much time making excuses for it and lying about it and distorting history? It's getting old. Like, no, you know, I've been as nice as I could for the past 20 minutes and people still can't handle it. Your religion is making excuses for tyranny. You might as well vote left. Like, if that's your whole thing, just stop. Someone said you missed their point. You're talking about arresting people. I'm not faulting Trump for not doing it. I'm talking about the people who've made their entire platform saying that Trump was going to do it. I'm not saying, oh, Trump has to do all this stuff or I hate him. That's not what I expected of him. I'm just talking about the Q people who told people, just wait, it's coming. Here it comes. Trump has a plan. Trump didn't have a plan. Do you not get what I'm saying? I'm saying he tried his best in that category, couldn't do it. They've said forever, we know that he's going to do it. He's got this plan. How does Trump not have a plan? You're admitting he never had a plan. It was too hard. But that entire base said he always had a plan that they know about in advance. It's a secret plan that's so not secret that they've been talking about it on message boards and Twitter and Chrissy Teigen's Instagram for 4 years. It's not a secret plan if you're spouting it all over Twitter, and it wasn't real. You know, did he try? I'm sure, but maybe it wasn't possible. That's not why I'm mad at Trump, because he didn't arrest all the evil people in the world. I'm just saying, if we can, double task, there's a group of millions of people who think that he was going to do that. It never happened. So they spiral and keep making up new theories. I would love to be proven wrong at any day and people air that out. And then on the same hand, that doesn't have to do with the other stuff. If he would have just done what he did the first 2 years, 3 years, and he didn't arrest anybody, it would have been disappointing, but that's fine. But what happened was not that. The lockdowns, Operation Warp Speed, do you get what I'm saying? He went down and then never did anything that cool. So it's different things. And I don't want to talk about it every day or all the time, but I truly believe when the conservative base realizes this, it all ends. It's really that simple. They only have power because people buy into it. It's like people love to fight and love to worship. If we all came to a conclusion, if the left wing had no racism, climate change, the left wing has no platform. They don't have a real platform. Science. Climate change, racism, COVID lockdowns. If that ended and there was no left or right battle, all these people on the left would realize I'm worshiping a political party that literally hates me, that has no plan for me except to steal more of my money. So that's the two-party trap with the left. They're controlled by the fear of racism, by the fear of COVID. And when that fear dies, the left wing loses. They have no mind control power. On the right wing, you have millions of people who think Trump is the return of the Messiah who's going to arrest all of the deep state, but at the same time makes excuses when they doesn't. You have tens of millions of people who think that Trump is the greatest president in modern history. Maybe he would have been, or maybe he could be, maybe he still can be. But, to the point where they're not even willing to question anything he does, and all they know how to do is fight Biden and say it's China Biden. China's not innocent. Duh. Biden's certainly not innocent. He's been in politics for 50 years. I would say he's a worse president than Trump by far, and he's barely started. However, that's the trap. So you have the left wing fighting racism, fighting the right. You have the right wing fighting Biden. What about the rational people who vote conservative, but who realize Trump didn't do what we thought he was going to do? Trump went further left with government, with all these stimulus bills, than Obama and Clinton. Where do these people come in? It's a small percent, and that's the two-party trap. And that's all I'm trying to explain to people. I still vote Republican, but that doesn't mean it's going to lead us to where we want to be. I understand why people don't vote. I understand why people do vote, but you get what I'm saying? That's the problem with the two-party trap. You have 250 million good people who are fighting each other and not even getting to the next layer. That's it. That's the whole scheme. Once that ends, it's all over. And people get mad when I say this now. I have 150 videos defending Trump against lies. Half my channel is defending Trump. I've done it so many times for no other reason besides it was the right thing to do. That's it. He had to help businesses, fool. I don't even know what you're like. People, what I just said was so clear and so calm. And if you don't get that, someone said, whoa, now he's more liberal than Obama, bro. Highly disagree. In March 2020, until his final year, he went further left than Obama. I didn't say more liberal, further left, left wing, bigger government, higher taxes. Who wants to print trillions of dollars? Andrew Yang, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Trump did that. The Republican Party did that. If you look at Obama, his final term and where the country was, how much freedom? Could you go to church? You could go to church. Could you travel to Europe? You could travel to Europe. Were they printing trillions of dollars? Not as bad as they did now, but Obamacare was a scam. If you look at Obama's last year, Bush's last year, Clinton's last year, and Trump's last year, unobjectively, Trump's last year was further left economically, further left if you want to talk about the infringements on civil liberties, way worse than Obama, way worse than Clinton, and way worse than Bush. But you love his character, so you don't even look at the policy and the country. But how could you not look at the country? The entire country. Florida's less free than it was 3 years ago. Texas is less free than it was 3 years ago. I was in South Dakota and I watched a woman get dragged off a plane for not covering her breathing holes with cloth under the Trump era. Even South Dakota, as free as it may be, is less free than it was 3 years ago. And that goes for every state, and that goes for the country, and that goes for our spending. If you look at the spending chart, before Biden blows past him, Trump spent more money and printed more money out of the Federal Reserve than like in the last 20, 30 years. Unobjectively, he went further left. But this is the problem. People don't realize it because they're obsessed with his character. You're proving me right again. If you want to spend the rest of your life pretending like Trump was this right-wing president who was able to make government smaller and he really fended off the left, you're distorting history. Not only did he not make government smaller, he made it bigger than anyone ever. And it is yet to be rescinded because once government gets this big, it's impossible to get it back. And people knew that after 15 days to slow the spread. You think conservatives didn't realize we just opened the wormhole of big government and we're not going back? It was obvious. I'll give him 15 days, but then he extended it past Easter. He was part of the extension of the lockdown. I'm not saying he's liberal in his personality. Someone said it's called state rights. You guys sound like NPCs. It's literally, I've had this argument or discussion since like last April. There's states' rights involved, but there's also national rights. None of this can happen if he doesn't pass an emergency order. None of this can happen if he doesn't sign the CARES Act. None of this can happen if he doesn't do Operation Warp Speed. He's in on it. Is states responsible? Yes. Newsom's responsible. Cuomo's responsible. Murphy's responsible. Abbott's responsible. But so is Trump. You guys really don't know this? Really? This is how you want to end America? By just being in denial about what happened last year? You think Trump had no part in this at all? It's embarrassing. It's really sad because clearly this is not my group of people. If you're willing to destroy the country and just idol worship a guy and like distort history and make up like he never had any part in it. It's insane, guys. It's really sad. It's really sad. I've had this discussion since last April, and people, you sound like a left winger when you tell the truth to a left winger. Their brain spirals and they start calling you racist, sexist. It's the same thing. You guys have the same. Someone said he was pushed by all of Congress to extend it. I'm not saying they're not involved. Like, why do you guys want to so badly just defend tyranny? You guys are obsessed with defending tyranny. Why call yourself a conservative when you spend more time defending tyranny than you do standing against it? This is why our country fell, because you spend so much time defending tyranny. Okay, Congress passed it. Did Congress force Ronald Reagan to do amnesty? They probably wanted him to, but if he can't do anything on his own, then what's the point of acting like he's a good president? He passed the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act. Did they ask him to do it? Yeah. Did he stand up against himself? No, he didn't. So, okay. So Trump was, okay. What's the point of voting for Trump if you think he can't do anything for himself? Well, Congress made him do this. If he doesn't have a mind of his own and he does whatever Congress wants him to do all the time, then why would you act like he's this superior president when your other argument is he has no power whatsoever? He will cave to Congress on other things. Congress wanted him to do other things and he didn't, and he passed an executive order. There's multiple times when Congress on both sides wanted to do something and Trump was able to say, I disagree with it. But Trump caved on this one and you love it. It's so pathetic. It's embarrassing. It's like, on one hand, he's this leader who won't cave to anyone. On another hand, he's this incapable leader who can't do anything ever. It's insane. Someone said, now you're putting labels on people who supported you because they don't fully agree with your analysis. I'm not putting labels on anything. I'm just saying it's embarrassing. People love making excuses for tyranny. I never thought only Trump could have done this. And I'm not blaming him. I'm blaming the base. Hundreds of millions. You think people would have made, if Obama did this, do you think someone would have told me, dude, Obama had to do it. Congress on both sides wanted to do it. Mitch McConnell and Pelosi made Obama do it. No one would make excuses for Obama. No one would make excuses for Pelosi. No one would make excuses for Hillary. No one's making excuses for Biden. Oh, it's Congress. Tim Scott's forcing Biden to do it. No one does this for anything else but Trump. You guys spend your entire life defending socialism. Essentially, communism is what happened in March and April. Medical tyranny, human slavery, that's what you're going to defend because your guy did it? I'm not labeling anyone anything. I'm just saying it's really sad to watch the freedom, conservative, patriot side of politics make the worst excuses for tyranny, distort history. I don't mind if people disagree with my analysis, but you're distorting history. It's not just the state rights. There's federal, executive orders. There's federal emergency orders. And the signature of Trump was, necessary for the CARES Act, which he proudly passed. It's not like he passed it and said, this is not good. It's going to be temporary. He passed it and yelled at Thomas Massey for telling the truth. How do you not understand this? It's really crazy. I don't know. I expected at a certain point people to figure it out, but someone said, I haven't seen Trump do anything wrong except give the people what they wanted and then get blasted for it. Well, I would love to see the world through your eyes. That would be fascinating. Fief said should be a law or act that people can assign like an impeachment, but for others, government, once limit is hit, military law enforcement can arrest. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Someone said, I agree with you. I believe we were duped. I mean, we certainly were duped, but a year later, it's like, I never thought in my head, like, listen, even the anti-Semitism speech bill, it's bad. It's not that bad. It's not free speech and it's for sure important, but I'll move on. I don't even care about college campuses that much. Okay. This is not a small issue, guys. What happened last year is a bigger deal than anything that's happened in my lifetime. And I've talked to people that are 80 and 90. This is crazier than anything that happened in their lifetime. It's not a small, it's the biggest issue ever. And you guys have the biggest blind spot for the biggest issue ever. It's kind of a big deal. I mean, when your country loses everything under a Republican president and you can't even admit how it happened or that they were even 5 to 10% responsible, what is your movement? Where is your movement going? Nowhere. It's bad. Someone said you knew all of this election night. I knew this in April. You could watch my videos in April. I said all this stuff in April and I got treated horribly. Not that bad, but everyone was mad at me in April. Q people told me trust the plan. The lockdown's part of the plan. And then in June, they said they never said that. And they said that they just kept lying and spiraling. Yeah, you can find my videos from last year. I said all this stuff. From day one of Operation Warp Speed, I said Trump is deceiving his base. I said this 1,000 times from March 2020 till the election. But as a kind, considerate patriot, I laid off Trump for a month or two because, I wanted him to win over Biden. So although it was bad, I said my piece 1,000 times. Did I say this before the election? You're damn right I did 1,000 times. But I did lay off for the election because I'm like, listen, I think he deserves to at least, I don't want Joe Biden there. Joe Biden, game over. He's clearly not going to help me. At least with Trump, there's a fighting chance. So I wanted Trump to win. And you're damn right I did. People say, well, did you feel this way on election night? I wanted him to win. I wanted him to win. And then I wanted to hold him accountable on day one. But he didn't win. And the election took a 5-month detour. And it screwed everything up. But yeah, if you think I just said this now, like that's all people can say. Oh, Anomaly's just saying this because Trump lost. Dude, I've been saying this since April. Anybody who watches me since April, I've laid all this out. And I've been like, damn, the base doesn't care. It's okay. I'm over it. Someone said, hey, yes, Trump is not a perfect man, but who else is there to help us citizens? You got to help yourself. I'm not asking Trump to be perfect. I'm not faulting him for all of his human flaws. I've never done that. I never said, oh, he said, grab him by I've always defended him. This is where your mind goes. It's like, well, if Trump's not going to save my life, who's going to? You have to save yourself. If every conservative man was as manly as they pretend to be, this would have been over in April, because no man should allow what Trump or Biden or Hillary or whatever did. No man should allow that. But you don't have real men. You have men who are looking up to Trump to save their whole lives. Trump is not going to save you. DeSantis is not going to save you. They might help you. They might hurt you. They might help you most of the time and hurt you one time. It's your job as a man to help yourself. Stop looking up to Trump like an idol. You prove me time and, well, if Trump's not going to save us, who will? Yourself? I don't know. Did you ever think you might have to play a part in it? Or are you just going to put on a mask and go to the voting booth and, pray that somebody saves you? Like, what if every Republican man stood their ground in April and said that this needs to end? It would have been over. But we don't have men. We don't have patriots. We have followers, a bunch of idol worshipers who would rather put more stake in a human politician businessman than in Jesus Christ himself. That's the problem. I don't care how many people get annoyed by it. I'm going to keep saying it because it's true. I like DeSantis, but I've seen what he's doing. He's pushing the vaccine. He kept the emergency order for a year. He flew over to Israel on a Sheldon Adelson jet and signed an anti-First Amendment bill into Florida. I've seen him do that. I know you guys don't want to hear it, but he did that. So I'm not looking up to DeSantis like my idol. I appreciate DeSantis. I like him. He's doing a better job. But if you have this DeSantis complex like you have the Trump complex, you're going to end up being disappointed one day too, because you're supposed to put your faith in God and not a politician, a businessman, or a governor. And until people figure that out, it's supposed to go God, man, woman, family, where it's like, if, you're supposed to take orders from God, not from Trump or DeSantis. So if they lock the country down, your religion doesn't say, I have to make excuses and worship Trump. Your religion says you should serve God, and your constitution says you should serve your country, not Trump, not DeSantis, not me, not Ben Shapiro. Doesn't matter who it is. If they're taking everything away from you, you should stand against it. But we don't have conservatives. We don't have patriots. We have cowards masquerading themselves as patriots who are like shocked when they hear any of this stuff. Like, what are we supposed to do if this happens? I'd stand up for yourself. Come on. Not trying to be mean, but I don't expect Trump to be perfect. I'm more disappointed in people for not standing up to him. And you don't have to be mean about it. Just stand up for yourself. I live in a conservative county. My county's trying to do a vaccine passport. You know what I did? I took my ass to city school, the board, and I spoke directly to them. And, hundreds of people did so. I didn't say, oh, I voted for my gut. Where's my mayor? Where's the school board? It's like, they don't give a shit about you. That's where they are. They never cared. They're doing backdoor deals with big pharma. They're making government bigger. They're selling you the lie of smaller government while they make it bigger. And it's time for you as a man or a woman to face that and stand up for yourself. And if you do that, the game is over. But nobody wants to stand up for themselves. It's like Trump was great to inspire people, but apparently he inspired people to just sit there and hope that he would do everything for them. That was never what it was about. And I think the best part of his inspiration was the fact that millions of people got involved, millions of people got passionate. Trump made me love America again. I always hated the corruption of America because I was, brainwashed by my school to not appreciate the good parts of it. And I did realize the bad stuff we were doing too. And I was disgusted by the bad that America was doing. And it's true. We have, some sickos running this regime. But he inspired me and he inspired millions. And I'm forever grateful. And I'll never take that away from him. I'm never going to demand him to be perfect. But there's a difference between, Trump said grab him by the you-know-what. And Trump did socialism, communism, medical tyranny, made government bigger, created a whole new branch, did trillions of dollars of stimulus loans, and gave the most corrupt industry in America more money and power than they've ever had, elevated Fauci. That's bigger than like grab him by the you-know-what. That's why I say it. Not because I'm searching through Trump's flaws. We all have flaws. No one's perfect. I don't expect anybody to be perfect, but I do, as a man in America, not want to live as a slave, and I refuse to, and I don't care who passed it in. So it's like I don't like to be repetitive, but it's really that simple. I don't care if you love Trump or you hate Trump. I have Trump ice cubes in my freezer. But that doesn't mean I just sit back and stare at my ice cubes every day and say, I can't wait for Daddy Trump to wipe my butt. That's not how America works. America's great because of the people, because of patriots. It's not great because every patriot sits on the couch and waits for Trump to do everything for him. That's what ruined our country. And until people realize that, we're going to keep spiraling down because the Republican Party was just as complicit as the Democratic Party in March and April. And March and April is when you lost everything. You didn't lose it in November. Everyone's crying in November. You lost it in March and April. You not just lost the election, you lost the country. You lost your autonomy in March and April. And when that happened, the Republican Party was complicit. And until people figure that out, it's never going to stop. And I don't care how upset people get with me. Call me a grifter. What am I grifting? Grifting against the grain of MAGA? If I was grifting, I would just sell MAGA hats and, be like MAGA, 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 MAGA. That's grifting, not going against the grain in the party that supports you when you know it's not going to be the most popular thing because you know it's right. That's the opposite of a grift. That's just me being like, this is not cool because it's not cool. And when I go out and when I go places, yes, I've been to Arizona. Yes, I've been to Texas, but it's still not as free as it was 3 years ago. And I care about the people being held captive right now. How could you not? You care more about defending Trump than you care about your country? That's the problem. No one's asking you to hate him, but this worship is really detrimental. Someone said we are being enslaved. I bring it up in most of my streams, but the word enslave means, you could Google enslave, it means to lose freedom or choice of action. We've been enslaved. That's what slavery means. If you're free, you're free. When America founded, I don't know if it was really founded this way or not. I question history, but you could buy land, you could do certain things. And at a certain point, the founding fathers knew we don't want to have slavery. We want people to be even freer. We were on a path to more freedom. And then we went, once big government got too big, we got less free and less free and less free and less free and less free. And now we've been enslaved. It means to lose freedom or choice of action. That's what happened during the pandemic. I call it a human slavery scheme. We have never lost more freedom in a shorter period of time than we lost during the Trump administration. I'm not saying it's all his fault. Clearly, there's some bigger puppets behind the strings, pulling those, but it did happen. So are we going to face it and get our freedom back? Or are we going to spiral and just make excuses for it? These are the two options. I refuse to make excuses, not just online, but in my personal life. I don't get treated this way. And I make sure everywhere I go to explain. I went in a store yesterday and the guy didn't have a mask on. I said, hey, I'm going to buy your products because you don't have a mask on. I bought $50, $60 worth of food from his store. And I told him, this is because you're not wearing a mask. Thank you for breathing air. So, and when I go into another store and they yell at me, I just talk to them. Do you guys have an end date for the mask mandate? No. There's never going to be an end date because they don't even have any metrics. So you got to stop treating people like animals. I'll say that in person to people's face because they need to feel like what they're doing is wrong because it is wrong. How did it happen in Germany? How did it happen in Stalin? Because people just do whatever they're told because they don't want to step out. So that's probably how it happened. Everybody was just following the leadership and they didn't care about mistreating people because it felt like the safe thing to do. So there needs to be, even on a personal level, a little bit of pushback, respectful, but pushback. If every conservative did what I'm doing, and it's not all about me, but this would have been over in April. So that's how I know people aren't doing enough. And, you see it now when I go live. Obviously, a lot of people get it, but the amount of excuses and stuff, it's like, have you ever taken that passion that you're defending Trump in something that he did? Have you ever taken that passion and fought against the lockdowns or done something to free the children who are being treated like animals? Probably not. You probably spent more time making excuses for socialism, making excuses for inflation, making excuses for human slavery than you have actually fighting it. And there's the problem lying in itself. That's the two-party trap. They can convince you to do horrific, wicked things in, this idea that you're fighting with Team Red. The Patriot Act under Bush is another example. Most people knew this like outside of politics, but they convinced you that the Muslim terrorists were so bad they needed to pass a Patriot Act. Now the Patriot Act is being used against Americans. It was always designed to be used against Americans, but they had to dupe conservatives into passing a bill that conservatives don't agree with. How do you do it? By giving it a patriot name and telling them that they're going for Muslims. And on the left, it's the same thing. How do you steal money from people? You tell them it's for racism, and they're saying so. That's the two-party trap. They've been doing it since Reagan. Reagan made government bigger. He says he made it smaller, but the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act and the amnesty bill are two of the worst bills, Democrat or Republican, that screwed over Americans, whether you like Reagan or not. Bush did the Patriot Act. Trump did the lockdown. Do you notice a pattern? It's not, it's the game that they're playing, whether it's his fault or not, or it's his advisors. Who cares? What you should care about is, as a citizen, stop it from happening by stopping playing along. That's the game. You have to figure that out. Every Republican president in my lifetime has given away some huge chunks of freedom. It's so obvious, but it's like crazy. It blows people's mind when you say that because it's like, well, I'm on Team Red. I thought we were fighting China Biden. Yeah, but no, yeah, I guess you're fighting Biden, but you're also losing ground. I got to go in 2 minutes. Carter said, so both parties are seriously flawed and compromised. Trump sucked in 2020. Biden sucks now. What do you suggest for the future? Do we just keep resisting the tyranny? It's got to come on a personal level. I think the Republican Party, there's a lot of promising movement in the Republican Party. The old Adam Kinzinger types, they're not winning anymore. That's a good thing. People like Trump because he's authentic. The base, honestly, has been better than Trump. Like, the base doesn't even agree with what Trump did. They just don't want to pretend like he had any part in it. So it's already happening. But once the base shows, we don't want a phony. We don't want Adam Kinzinger. We want the new Trump Republican who's more honest with us. That's definitely half the way. And then the full way would be, once you have in the Trump type Republican, just make sure that they're not going to be Operation Warp Speed Republican. That's that type of, like, what Trump? Are you going to be the build a wall Trump or the Operation Warp Speed Trump? So when the base puts their foot down, I think it'll all change. So that's it. You could vote. I think voting conservative is smarter, but then that's only half the battle. You could vote, but then don't just vote and be like, we won. It's like we had so much power for 4 years and they were never fighting big tech. I feel like we were patient. The conservative, I think the conservative base is really nice. I never pushed Trump in the first 3 years. I'm thinking to myself, things take time, right? Like, I'm not going to demand that Trump does everything I want him to do. Was I ever mean to Trump? I was the nicest to Trump. I'm like, dude, he's taking time. If he's going to lock people up, it takes time. Maybe he won't, whatever. Just let him do his thing. And then the lockdown happened and it's like, well, that was not what we were expecting for, year number 4. So I think we're too nice. I think the conservative base gets taken advantage of because everybody's patient and nice. Patience is good, but after in my opinion, my takeaway is after what Trump and the Republicans did during the lockdown, we need to send a clear message. Never again. I'm offended, not like a liberal, but I'm offended by Tim Scott's message. His whole speech was offensive, not for reasons that the left would say, because he was making excuses for socialism. He's like, we did the COVID bills. That's offensive to me. They enslaved our country. They treated us like dirt. They treated us like animals. They took everything away from communities, and then they brag about it on TV, and that's the Republican Party platform. I will not let Tim Scott say that's okay. That's not okay. Well, oh, the left is racist. No, what the big story is that Tim Scott is bragging about a bill that would have been too far left for Nancy Pelosi 3 years ago, and he's trying to champion that. That's the problem. So when the base feels that type of passion, like, no, you owe us an apology for treating us like dirt, and you got to stop passing trillion-dollar printing bills. You think you could just print money? Where are they going to get the money from? Supply and demand? They screwed us. Tim Scott screwed us. Trump screwed us. All of them, but Thomas Massie screwed us. Pelosi screwed us. They're all screwing us, and it's gonna cost your kids. It's already costing lumber. Gas is going up for multiple reasons, but food is going up. You can't just print trillions of dollars. It doesn't matter if it's Trump. I'm gonna do the CARES Act because they don't care about you. They care about you by printing trillions of dollars. They screwed over our country for generations, and we better hope it doesn't get as bad as Venezuela and Germany, because like hyperinflation is bad. Hopefully it doesn't get to that, but that's it. What can we do? That's it. Someone said, I can't believe people are saying, super chat, can't believe people are saying, what can we do? Get your butt and fight. And you could do so peacefully, respectfully. You could even do so digitally, but stop just being a follower. There's organizations that I know didn't do a damn thing to stop the lockdown, didn't do a damn thing to expose it, didn't do a damn thing to preserve the free market, and nobody seems to care, because they put a Republican next to their name, and everyone's like, oh, that's got to become not cool. That's got to become not cool. We can do it. We're so close. It's really that simple. It's like if you it reminds me of you wear a mask outdoors. You're at the Grand Canyon and you're wearing a mask. And it's like asking, like, how do I take my mask off? You're like, dude, I don't understand. How do I take it off? No, how do I take it off? I'm like, just take it off. Just take it off. How do we win though? How do I get this off my face? How do I not wear it outdoors? The CDC said to. How do I not do that? Just take it off and it's over. It's that simple. If enough people just stop playing, it's over. And I'm not saying you have to vote or not. I'm talking like the jig is up. Like when Ivanka Trump says, ooh, I got my Moderna jab, and like all of her comments are like, oh, I don't agree with that. That's the type of energy that like I love to see that, where it's like, I don't care if people want to get it or not, but Operation Warp Speed, in my opinion, very not cool. Very not cool. And as much as people want to make excuses for it, I see that the majority of the base will let Ivanka or Donald Trump Jr. know it's not cool. And they see that. Donald Jr. loves social media. So if he's so popular and then he posts something that's really not cool and everybody says, hey, Don, I like you, but that's really not cool. That's all. That's it. It's not cool. When Ben Shapiro talks about like blowing up a Muslim country or whatever he talks about, you can see it's got more down votes than up votes. Or it's like he was talking about Syria and fighting a war. That's good. It's good that Ben can see that people don't like that. And even Trump, I think people helped in Syria with Trump. Trump had a lot of pressure in Syria and in my opinion, did a really good job considering. He did a great job with North Korea. He can do a good job, and when we give him the thumbs up, yay, we like that, clap for good things and boo bad things. Like if I come here and I say, hey guys, it's Anomaly, you like me, right? And everyone's like, yeah, we love Anomaly. It's a good channel I like to watch online. And then I say, hey guys, I have a new idea. Let's pass a speech law on college campuses. What's problem on college campuses is too many people are boycotting Israel. Ilhan Omar, we got to get rid of those anti-Semites. And then like, that's when you go, boo, Anomaly, we like you. We don't like Ilhan Omar, but we can't have speech laws in this country. Like you should boo me too. I don't care about getting booed. People are like, oh, you want people to agree with you? No, if I screw up, boo me. But know what you're talking about though. Cause if I don't screw up, then I'm going to debate, but it's okay. I don't want people to just like, if I turned on a dime and just started making 0 cents, I don't want you to say, well, Anomaly's pretty good with most of the stuff. So I'm just like, no, boo me. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to be like, if I just change, but I explain how I feel because I'm not, when I change on a dime, I'm trying to tell you why. There's a reason. If I had no reason, or I'm just like, I caved, the Congress pressured me, and I got a lot of money from the vaccine industry, so I got to do it. Boo Anomaly, boo Ben Shapiro, boo Trump. It's okay to boo them. Don Jr. It's like, yay, Don Jr., Operation Warp Speed, boo. It's okay. That's how you can digitally protest. And I already see it happening. So I'm optimistic, but I know it makes a difference. I know I don't make the biggest difference, but I know there's influencers who've reached out to me and be like, you're right. I have a lot of Jewish friends, and they'll text me when I talk about the anti-Semitism bill. They'll be like, no, you're right. Like they're Jewish, but they're like, I don't agree with that bill. It doesn't make sense. And like what you're talking about with the Israel stuff, that's true. They like Israel, but they know I'm not hateful. They just know I believe in the Constitution, and it's not right. So it's not as unpopular as people think. And I know if it can reach a few people, it makes a difference. It really adds up. So that's why I harp on it a lot. Because if I could just change a few people's minds, I don't want to control your whole life. I just want you, when you go to a conservative event and you see them start to play you with this stuff, you can put up a little resistance and be like, I like you, I'm voting for you, but I don't know about these speech bills. I don't know. Obviously Biden sucks, but I don't know. I feel like Trump and Tim Scott and the Republicans were also kind of involved from March until June, at least. I think it's healthy. That's what the Republican Party needs. They're definitely making strides, and I'm not trying to act like, I need everything now, but it hurts my soul when I see the way kids are being treated. It hurts my soul when I see the way workers are being treated. I have family that's stuck in 1 or 2 masks for work. You think that doesn't hurt my soul? Oh, well, Trump did this, Trump did that. I care about my family, and I care about the fact that my family is forced to wear 1 or 2 masks and a visor at work, or else they get fired, And of course they could do more and whatever, but at the same time, our leadership could do more as well. Our political side of the, if they can tweet and put out stuff, they could put out a video about this, but they don't seem to really care that much. And I do care. So I'm going to keep pushing the boundary a little bit. All right. Let's end on a one question. People are booing. Everyone's boo. A good boo is good sometimes. When Garcetti comes out to the Dodger game, they say, Democrat Mayor Eric Garcetti. And then everyone says, boo, boo. That's good. He deserves to get booed. You get what I'm saying? It's like, why would you cheer that guy on? Boo. A good boo is good every now and then. Now he knows, man, people don't really like me, even in my own city. It's like, yeah, you suck. And it's, just a good, it's like, we don't want to boo Republicans all the time, but like a few cheers and a boo is okay. Just one little boo. Someone said sports and masks. My kids have to wear 2 masks. As a parent, do you feel like the Republican Party is doing enough? I know it's a Democrat state, but like there's leadership nationally, and there's leadership as far as, organization wise. As a voter, I don't feel like they're doing enough. That's why I'm doing more. But, I feel like they help bring it here, but they can't take it away. That's what it feels like to me. It's like the Republicans helped bring all this here. They all brought it here. They brought it here. They implemented it. They funded it. They supported it. They signed every bill. And then they just run away like, oh, it's not me. It's the Democrats. It's like, for sure the Democrats are worse, but you definitely did not help us. You didn't, I remember New York and New Jersey. I remember Trump shaking hands with Cuomo and Murphy and being like, man, they love me. I'm giving them ventilators. We're getting along. The pandemic, we built the Javits Center. We got the ships coming in. And I'm thinking to myself, they only like you because you're giving them everything they could ever want. Money, power, control. I saw it all happen. It doesn't mean I hate Trump, but like the Republicans handed everything to the Democrats on a silver platter. And then they're like, see you guys. And then like they show up at CPAC and everybody's wearing masks. Everyone's in masks and they're like, we're the Freedom Party. And everyone's like, yeah, we're in Florida. We're so free. If you're so free, why the freak did you book an event in Florida at a mask mandated hotel? I can't be the only one that sees this stuff. It's like, that's not cool. Boo, boo. Go to South Dakota. Go to a red area of Florida. You can't find a hotel that doesn't have a mask mandate. I went to Arizona, stayed at a hotel without a mask, have the event there. What are they doing? But no, what are they doing? I don't know. I'm like, get those things off. What are you guys doing? I'm not trying to be mean. I feel bad when I argue with people, but I can't not say it. It's a big boo. All right, let's end on one more. Thank you, JH. Someone said, I agree with this so much. Trump let us get locked down. Warp speed is dumb. I agree wholeheartedly. And it's that simple. It's like, I'm not asking people to blame him for everything ever all the time. It's just like, if you get what you ask for, if they do that to us and you don't even care, they're never going to stop doing it. It's like the mask mandate. I ask everybody in liberal areas, do you know when they're going to end this? No. Do you know the end date? No. Do you know the metrics? No. They don't have metrics. They don't have an end date. So you should know that, and you're allowing it. You don't have to rip your mask off at work if you don't want to, but you can ask your elders or whoever, your upper management. Hey, do you know the end date? Oh, no, we don't know. Can you ask that? Oh, we don't. No one knows because they're just following along. Once you ask a question, that's even better. So that's all it is like the more this happened under Republican leadership, and the fact that there's like a small percentage of people who even seem to care, it's only going to happen again eventually. So it's like, it's an abusive relationship. We need to be nice, but just be like, hey, we don't want this ever to happen again. And I think DeSantis is doing a good job, but I am curious as well. I'm like, how come it took a year to rescind the emergency order? I don't know how that works, but it's worth a question. If you're a vote, it's worth being like, how come that was there for a year? It's worth a question. And I don't know the answer to that, but I'm genuinely curious. God bless you guys. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I apologize if I ruffled a few feathers. Someone said, yo, bro, I gave you a $20 super chat. Got to stay current with that, man. I feel robbed. Brandon, what did you write with your $20 super chat? You could tell me, but on my stream, I apologize. It's not guaranteed because sometimes I talk for 30 minutes and I tell people at the beginning. So, I'm not like a robot dummy. I try to read all the super chats. I read a bunch of the ones on Facebook, but I've never claimed that, you could take, do you have can you email me? I'll send you $100 so you don't feel robbed. I'll give you 5 times what you put in, since you're like accusing me of robbing you. So email me, I'll send you $100, Brandon. But, in general, I don't see them all. If you let me know what you said, I can answer it, but people know that. I try to see most of them. If I miss one, I apologize. Are you going to ask your question? I'll give you like a minute to re-ask your question. Let's see. Brandon Riley. You going to ask your question or no? I'm giving you a minute to answer the question. Someone said, keep ruffling feathers. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Jody. Let me see. Brandon, you're running out of time, bro. I got you. I got you on the question if you give it to me. All right. He ran out of time. All right. God bless you guys. Appreciate you. I'll be back soon, and I have 3 videos I want to edit this week. 1 is already out. I have 2 more. Hopefully I get that done. And Facebook, we got to do a supporters only live stream. I apologize for the delay. Part of it, I'm not going to make full excuses, but every other day I come in, like they take away certain things, they give it back. They took away my stars, they gave it back. They held out my premiere button, and then they just gave that back. Now it says I'm restricted. So I'm just kind of like confused at what they're doing to me. And I assume that Facebook doesn't like me now that I've like got the #1 post or something. They're furious. I feel like they're probably just like keeping an eye on everything I'm doing, waiting for me to mess up, or so it is what it is. But while we're doing it, that's what it is. Let me see. I'll look one more time for your comment. What is it, Brandon? I gave you 3 minutes, bro. No, and you didn't even ask. It didn't have to be super chat. It could have been regular, but whatever. Appreciate y'all. Have a good day. Hopefully that was productive. Maybe not, but I had a good time.